allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joel here. John here. Four. First item is to approve an agenda for today.
I make that motion.
Support to approve the agenda as it's posted. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Let's review our last meeting's minutes. My recollection.
Second.
Motion by Moore, support from Schulte to approve the minutes from September 11. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Look at our October schedule. Morning.
Okay, are you looking at 9 and 23? Sure.
There was a request by Mr. Reed to have a meeting on the 30th for union negotiations. Not talking about that. That would be,
emails that ask if the board
that would be an actual meeting with
be a closed session.
discuss our,
I think there's gonna be a closed session, I think it's a union negotiation closed session.
the reason we would want to add the 30th to our calendar is requested.
I think we should. I'll make a motion for 9, 23, and 30. 23rd, I will not be here.
For the 24th.
Still gonna be here that week. I'm gonna be gone.
I missed the second in February.
Yeah, I did too, she seconded it. You did?
For the 9th, 23rd, and 30th, there's four. Further discussion? All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Agenda would be approve or consider the lead notice resolution. Resolution number 10, 18, 19. Should we want to act on that? Thoughts, comments? Commissioner, want to weigh in on it at all? I don't know what I've seen him doing. Oh.
the one full slot on mowing. I think that's what they normally do. The county or, yeah. At least they did in the past, I'm guessing they still do that. So is it saying that the landowner used to do that, mowing by the 15th, or is it saying secondary roads? The landowner does. Guess that they've always done the grounds too, don't they? Yeah. I always thought they did it all.
Maybe one here and there.
No, I don't think they've ever, long as I know, they've never done the gravel roads. At least by any of my farms, they have to.
I don't know that you can, that mowing isn't a program for weeds. I don't know how you can make anybody mow their ditch about a 15.
I don't either.
Before you line comes, it's just a short look, you know, you got right to the point. I'd like to see that section omitted for mowing. That doesn't fit in, we don't have any sort of roadside vegetation program that would require you to try to get someone to mow their, now you're just asking them to mow their grass if there's no weeds in the ditch. Yeah, I really can't see the weeds either.
In the copy we had at our last meeting that we made no note of, or didn't ask to be struck.
I must have.
Discuss that.
I must have overlooked it. I was focusing on the one where it said that we had the ability to pick which weeds we wanted to destroy. So I'd make a motion to approve it minus the mowing provision.
I'll support that. County can, they can start it all gravel roads, or they never, they have a hard time getting the blacktop stuff.
So what do you want out of this, in the whole three, or just, oh, just disregard the whole section of three, or just also the first mowing, full class one, edge of public road should be take place by July 15th of each
I think
year?
you can just take it out from also to the end of each year, by November 1st. The rest of that just talks about keeping weeds out of the highways and safe for public travel.
You want one additional class, so you want to take that till November 1st of each year?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know that you need that whole section in there. Once you take that out, it kind of makes the rest of it move.
choose where to assess penalty.
It's not a requirement that it be penalized.
If we get some people to do it, it's helpful, I don't see why that's a problem. We have a motion to have that struck, and approve the resolution with that change. Any further discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 10, 18, resolution will be Mr. Jones, are you in favor of
Aye.
resolution 10? Mr. Helmers?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
So is that with the change?
Yes. Motion.
That's what you want me to read out?
No, we're starting with the
Just
original.
the mowing part.
So, yeah, aye.
Mr. Schulte? I will vote nay. Discussion concerning county engineer's contract.
Is it a new contract or is it, or we're just extending the old one?
Oh, we did that.
We get to discuss that.
Can't remember what we did last time. Last time we just looked over the evaluation. Oh, yeah.
Jack had previously provided the contract that we had with some comments and with what he sees regularly. Obviously, we can strike item 13 from it, talks about moving expenses, and that would not be part of this contract.
You guys have it or not?
I don't know if that's
for the trail discussion? It's up to you. You guys,
Do you have anything to tell us about it?
like these two, that's all I have covered. I brought the minutes, I guess.
You got a copy of the minutes? I want a copy of the minutes.
I don't know.
You got it?
You want to make copies for everybody?
Yeah, that'd be great. I didn't.
You found it too, okay. Okay,
Sorry, Rochelle.
no problem.
I knew it was here someplace. I don't have a box like this. Mine's all over the place. Give me a box.
What did we decide with number 3? That last sentence in there.
On the current contract, is it?
Yeah, on the current one.
Discussing it, I'm not sure why I would be in favor of removing either of them.
Or was it not in the zoning thing didn't make it over in the other contract? The zoning and drainage coordinator? Number 3 in the contract, I don't see that listed out in 3 in the new one that Jack has here. Is it? Would that be something we want to add back in?
Yeah, I'm not in favor of it not being in there.
I think it should be back in.
I think it should be back.
My take on this is Jack just kind of took out a template of what other counties have used.
Yes, yes.
And it hit where it would apply to us, but I don't know that he went in depth, and it would be our job to instruct him on exactly what it's supposed to say, so, yeah.
I'd say have that back in.
I would too.
Okay, now this one. Includes county zoning. Yeah, and the 16 and the 18, doesn't that? Yeah, so it should be, I think it should be back in here.
Anybody else be in favor, under 6 on the current contract, just kind of striking that and acknowledging that compensation will be considered annually and with
Just like everybody
some
else.
of the other considered.
Go to like 6, 13, or 14. On the old contract. What is that? Sorry? What is number 6 at in the contract?
Said that for any consideration, the foregoing board shall pay engineer an annual salary of $90,000 for the period starting August 29th, 2016 and through December 31, 16, increase to $92,500 through June 17, and $95,000 for the period starting July 1, 17.
The 6 in the new contract that he should
talk about zoning.
Should we add that, consider that, yes, and then consider no more than a week at a time, language of number 7 of the local contract?
I like how it's,
It's number 8 in the same.
I like how it's worded in there, that
Should we limit it to no more than 1 week, unless approved by the board?
yeah.
I think they should have that.
So you're saying no more, that's no more than 1 week carryover?
He's suggesting that we usage of vacation be limited to 1 week at a time, unless there's approval. That's, I think that'd be a good, I'm not saying I really want to support more than a week at a time, but at that point, it's probably good to know that.
Yeah, it's nice to know if you're still going to run about 2 weeks. But I can see where some vacations take more than 1 week. Yeah.
Remember, I know our old policy said that more than 1 week could be carried over with approval of the department head, so, I don't know if we want to just reference our personnel policy rather than saying flat maximum of 1 week.
I kind of like the idea of just 1 week.
Our policy doesn't state that, if we want to limit this contract in the way that the policy is currently. It's allowed.
Well, except as set out in this contract, the engineer's employment shall be in compliance with the personnel policy. So his employment policy is different than, the contract is different than what,
I understand, and I find it a little odd to restrict what's available to him to a greater extent, or to the engineer to a greater extent than what's allowed in personnel policies.
does he have anything else in here that's better than what everybody else has?
That would be better, that would be worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but does he have things in there that are better than what other people have?
Yeah.
To balance it out with the worst things. So you can't have, you gotta have both.
I'm kind of thinking of the management position. Makes it a little different.
It does make it a lot different than a regular 9-5 employee.
It's worded different, but that is similar to what the current contract states, so, yeah, all right. I'll quit.
Those couple changes.
How about that one? 14 days. Number 11 in that sample contract. The maximum time off for, you know, all the meetings and everything can be limited to 14 days unless approved by the board. That way you're not counting anything for a meeting.
I don't know, meetings they have.
But I would agree, I like putting a limit on there, that way you can actually, we should expect them to kind of plan out which ones are most important, rather than just every time one comes up, let's do it. Doesn't mean that it can only exceed 14 days, but definitely would be good to include.
I think it would be good to have that in.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out where to get it all.
Well, I believe it'd be good for one of us to work with Jack on issues that he's been,
Well, he's got him on this contract, he's kind of got things listed on what he thinks is changed.
yeah, but it's just gonna need someone to take the ball and make sure that he's made aware of it and get, reflected. He did mention the, automatic renewal portion, but there's a demand to do that as well. Not that that's what we have to do, so the rest of
What is it, disadvantage?
well, I think just like we are now, we're forced to do an evaluation anytime for anything to do, where this should give us a little more leeway if things are going smoothly or whatever, then we don't need to force it yet. They're not, so one advantage is that it's a clean break if we choose to not do it.
I think he uses this old contract with the changes that Jack suggests. There's most of the things in here we like, and he's got it listed. You know, the things we've talked about, drug screening and taking off number 13. Limits on meetings and limit on vacation time. I mean, all those things he's got to kind of, that's just what we talked about.
So we just need to pick up the sections to slide over to this other one.
I think the date should probably be changed up to the 30th, if we did a 2-month extension of the current one, but. Somebody willing to be in communication with Mr. Reed to get those updated.
I can do it.
And timeframe wise, we could certainly consider that at our next meeting and present it to him and have it. All right, thank you. Discuss it further if you guys are having lots of fun with it. Kind of an agreement there. Next one, I will not get into the specifics of the recorder's office, as I was with them. With one of the employees, I will just state that whether it be the recorder's office, the treasurer's office, or the auditor's office, the webinar that was presented last week, I don't know how much room we have to dictate how they operate their offices. They're elected officials that are answerable to the voters, so. With that said, that's all I'm going to indicate, and I will abstain from discussion and any action.
So Mike Corley, I have Ken and stuff, so maybe you were working with her to,
My final thought on the whole thing is I'd rather have her take a little more time and have her submit it right than to send stuff in and have it be wrong.
What?
And I understand we have that 2080 agreement, I understand that.
so does every 98 other counties have the same agreement we have, and nobody else seems to have an issue with the submission timeframe.
But it's the stuff right that I sent in.
We're not the only people that can submit stuff on there.
I know.
Attorneys can submit things on there, so whether it's perfectly correct is a moot point. I haven't heard any complaints out of anyone else using Iowa land records in Dickinson or O'Brien.
I know Stillwater State will not use it. They won't let any of their banks use it because the information isn't right.
Like I said, it's a moot point. All the discussion really resolves around is, here's the agreement we have, here's what we agreed to do. That's what 98 other counties agreed to do too.
And I think what should be done is that 2080 agreement should be rewritten.
Well, then if that's what they want to do over there, if she wants to get some sort of waiver from the state, because this has been going on for 3 years.
And if I tell you what, if that lady from Spencer has a problem, tell her to call me. I'll visit with her.
Well, it's every 7 to 10 days is where we're at average right now, which is not the 72 hours that we agreed to submit.
And that's why I think that 2080 agreement should be rewritten.
But remember, Osceola County isn't the only one using that Iowa land records. You have banks from other counties outside of here that want access to those records as well. And we made an agreement, it's in the code, that we agreed to get these things done in 72 hours. And that's the requirement of the office, as you were elected to get it done.
Well, Mike, what would your timeframe, suggested timeframe be to have that done on the time you needed? Was it 72 hours?
72 hours.
But, I guess my question to you, do you give them a week, do you give them 2 weeks, do you give them 3 weeks? What is your suggestion?
How long does it take to get through your office?
Usually Sheila does it the next day. She brings it over that morning, and Sheila usually does it that day. If not that day, then maybe the next. That's usually
So a week would be, so 7 days in that area. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
5 business days.
Or 7 days. You don't know how busy the auditor's office is gonna be here. Because there are a lot of people going through that.
But this county's bigger enough processing more paper than we are.
Is Woodbury County getting it in like we,
Every
time in that?
Yep, 72 hours.
That's not what I was told.
Well, that's what I was told. They're in, Dickinson's in, everybody is in the 72-hour window.
And see, what I wanna get away from is this right here. All the incorrect, where things are wrong. That's what I wanna get away from.
When you can't control that, because there's attorneys that submit stuff out there too, that'll be incorrect. You have no control over what everyone else puts out there.
No,
You have control over the people we have putting stuff out there.
but when it comes through this office, we can try to have it correct when it comes out of this office.
Everyone else has got that in the 3-day window.
And that's what I disagree with. That's what I disagree with.
If you want to change it, as the county agreed to this, the recorder's office agreed to this. It's 72 hours, that's what it is. And if you want to if you can get a waiver from the state that says Dickinson County is the only one of the 99 counties that doesn't have to comply with the 2080 agreement, and you can get it changed for us, super.
Okay.
But I think until then, you gotta try to work within the parameters. Because looking at the workload, if you want to compare workloads for what's getting submitted, even within the time frame, we're not that overworked that we can't get that done in 72 hours. There isn't that much paper coming in here for what we have staffed in there to get it done. And part of the problem again is we haven't cross-trained the other person in the office to submit that when she's gone. Because every time that she leaves, nothing gets submitted.
I think that's inaccurate information.
Has the state
The
come down
use
on
of
it?
accuracy of it.
Well, I'm just saying,
If we're gonna have this discussion, maybe the recorder should be here.
But my question there is, has the state come down on us? No, it's just a lady from Spencer.
she's
the only one that's got
the
problems.
middle person with the agreement to the state to have them there.
Then I think we should take a little time and visit the state.
Well,
See what we can get done.
if you can get us a waiver to not have to submit in that 72-hour window, problem solved.
Okay, we'll work on that.
What is the timeframe that we're getting submitted now?
7 to 10 days currently. Before that, it was every couple of months. And there's been times where
That's not bad.
they'll go in a stretch and they'll get them in that 3-day window, and then it kind of lags for a while until we get back to the 7 to 10. But Mike's working with her on it, so let us know here in a month or so what you come up with.
Well, we probably need to talk to the state and
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna
see what their
see if we can.
recommendations are, what they'll do.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We'll keep working.
Thanks, Mike.
Next item, Dickinson County, Osceola County Trail Board Agreement update.
It's gonna take more than 5 minutes. So I would say we halt the proceedings until the 9:30 docket.
Good thing gives us a
Break.
break.
Or, legally. Have one flip.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
How we doing?
assume the board can, if there are copies of the reports. Sure. You got 8 of them, so we should be good. Okay. Together?
Is that your turn?
You're here for the issue. Dressler is here, IS Group or ISG. Initiates it. Made the recommendation of annexation, we taken steps to have the report created and identified properly with postings and publications that we are having the public hearing, is that correct? So we will start with Ivan kind of walking us through this, if you don't mind, and we will conduct the public hearing on
The landowners in attendance, we have handed out a overall map that shows the parcels involved in the annexation. There's also a second map that I have handed out to them, which comes out of the engineer's report, but this showed basically how DD9 relates with Drainage District 43. And I wanted to note that the lands that are being shown here in red on this map are lands that are, the majority of these lands are also in Drainage District 43. So they're paying drainage assessments to 43 for the upkeep and maintenance of the facilities down there. However, they also drain to the tile system of DD9 tied to DD43, and we're not in the assessment schedule of Drainage District number 9. Okay, the annexation process, just to explain, originally, back in 2014, there was a petition for a drainage relief in Drainage District 9. There was a engineer's study and 2 informal meetings and then a formal meeting in regard to to proposed improvements to the tile systems of Drainage District 9. At that time, there was a remonstrance that stopped the project from proceeding to an improvement. However, as part of that engineer's report in 2015, there was discussion, even if the project did not move forward as an improvement, we were recommending annexation and reclassification of the overall district because the facilities of the district, which involves the tile main and several lateral tile systems, the schedule wasn't equitable in the fact that everything is paid for on one schedule. In 2015, these same lands were identified as draining to the tile system of DD9, and that was part of the recommendation. No action took place in regard to proceeding with annexation and reclassification back in 2015. However, since then, there was a new petition on the improvements on Drainage District 9 that has brought this back to light, and the board has decided to move forward with the annexation to bring the lands into the district prior to hearing on the engineer's report. That provides you an opportunity, the rights of basically remonstrance rights and objection rights in regard to improvements to Drainage District 9 that you did not have as part or before because you were not part of the assessed overall watershed of Drainage District number 9. So our report that I have not handed out the full written report. This report, you were notified in the notice that was available here at the auditor's office, and Michelle, it was posted on the website, I believe, too. So available for review on the auditor's website. Basically, what we are noting in the report that under the Drainage Code, section 468.119, if the board becomes convinced that additional lands contiguous to the district and without regard to county boundaries are benefited by the improvement to said district as contemplated in section 468.126. 468.126 is a section about differentiating between repairs and improvements. But anytime in the future, after a district has been established and it's found that there are lands draining to those facilities that are not in the original assessment schedule, the board has, as part of their duties, the right to proceed with annexing and bringing those lands into the district. And that's what that 468.119 basically is describing. Our investigation found that there was 463.91 acres of land that drain to the district, but are not assessed for benefit in Drainage District number 9. Again, that's going back to all the properties that are shown on this map in red. Okay? And again, those lands do pay drainage assessments to Drainage District 43, the outlet district down below DD9. Okay? The listing of those 463.91 acres was also provided in the report in a table format that we gave a listing of each individual parcel ownership and parcels with the net acres that we are finding to be inside of the watershed boundary draining to that given district facility. And let me make it known, in the annexation, we are not determining how much benefit you get from that facility. We are only identifying that your water discharges to that facility. And in reclassification, which would be a separate process, your amount of benefit from drainage district number 9 would be determined. In general, these lands are towards the lower end of the district, so these lands use less of the facility for an outlet, and therefore, they would be on the lower side of benefit to drainage district number 9. They are, however, on the top side of drainage district 43. We haven't evaluated 43 schedule. This process is in regard to drainage district number 9. But in regard to 43 schedule, it would be expected that you would be some of the higher assessed ground on 43 because you use all of 43 as an outlet. Okay. So, again, our annexation, proposed annexation is in regard to these properties receiving benefit through outlet to the tile system of drainage district number 9. And the individual listing of the parcels, acres involved were on this table. The reclassification, if the district was not officially reclassified, which we would, as part of this process, we are recommending the reclassification of the district. You would have to, if you didn't reclassify the whole district, you would have to provide a classification of these lands as part of bringing them into drainage district number 9. Due to the fact that there's 400 plus acres and currently assessed only 900 and some acres in the overall watershed, just the pure impact of those acres mixed with the other acres would change the distribution of benefit. So that's why we would recommend a full reclassification of the district. I am at this, on the last page, page 2 in the written report, in aggregate it was proposed that there's 453.03 acres of benefited land and 23 parcels, 8.1 acres of county road right-of-way, and 2.7 acres of state highway that are recommended for annexation to drainage district number 9. This annexation of the land is considered feasible and for the public good. In general, the good of all the landowners in the district that are served by that facility is therefore recommended that the Board of Supervisors of Osceola County, acting as trustees for the drainage district, basically move forward with this hearing to have the opportunity of landowners to voice their concerns or objections to the annexation. The one thing I will note that there is no remonstrance rights for annexation. There is objection, but there is no right of rejection or 50% of the landowners, so 70% of the land being able to stop annexation. Annexation is based truly upon a determined benefit from by the engineer through drainage district facility plats, our surface data that we have now through LIDAR, and we basically in field visits to the field to determine what physically is the overall watershed to that given district and what lands physically drain to the facilities of the district. So, with that, I'm going to open it to the board for any questions on the process that is taking place.
I've had quite a few calls I've been on it. Hopefully, it's confusing once in a while. Hopefully I
if the annexation doesn't, if we don't do the annexation, they could possibly, these lands could get charged annually, right?
That is correct. If these lands, if they weren't annexed prior to the hearing, they would still be recommended for annexation, and the board, and they would not have a right of remonstrance at the hearing on the engineer's report.
So then if they agree, if we annex them, then they have the right as the whole group for remonstrance of the whole project, right?
That is correct.
And I'm not against tile, I'm just
Right.
hoping I'm explaining this to people right.
That is correct. And the acres that they have for vote in remonstrance, in a sense, would be based upon this listing here, since they are currently not listed in the assessment schedule of the district. So they, their voting rights will be based upon this listing right here.
I can explain that to people right.
Yes. Other questions? If not, any of the landowners in attendance, do we have any questions?
We should open the public hearing then,
No.
how you wanna do that?
I guess,
Questions prior to the public hearing. I guess, are you offering the opportunity to answer some questions to try to clarify to see if they want to go on record in the public hearing?
yes.
Okay. That sounds, that's rubbish, okay. So we aren't opening the public hearing then.
Okay.
Mr. Presser would answer questions, you can ask a question concerning the process, sir.
No questions?
So there's been a petition to move forward with what we discussed a couple of years ago.
That is
So
correct.
this is just part of the preliminary process to annex the other lands into this process.
Which,
I would just ask that before we proceed with it the next time, at the next meeting, that we have our, kind of a summary of what the charges were to date. I think when this started, we were told it'd be about $15,000 to do initial assessment on this, project, and I'd just like to know what we spent so far.
I think that assessment's good for 10 years, isn't it?
I'm not up to speed yet.
The initial report, that's good for 5 years at
Yes,
It
and
will be updated if it's repositioned.
The initial process, they told us that they have to do a analysis for the initial project, and it would cost, the district about $15,000 per district, 43 and 9. I just wondered what we actually spent so far, on preliminary,
I did not look that up.
Is that 15,000 split between?
it was like $15,000 per.
Any expenditure to date, for,
This-
there is a refiled engineer's report, that has been filed with the board. The, board has not set the hearing date on this engineer's report yet, because they wish to proceed through the annexation process, and then there will be the hearing on this engineer's report.
I understand, I'm just saying at the next meeting, that we have a summary so far of what we spent as we move forward with this.
We got an idea of that, I wonder now.
I don't expect him to have it on the tip of his tongue, he's got a lot of other things on the agenda, I'm sure, but.
The supplemental engineer's report was estimated around $5,175. The annexation, we had estimated in the neighborhood of $5,000 for the annexation report. I do not, the report of the land. No, yeah, gotta be right.
So what's the deadline to do this? When's the 5 years up? What's the initial petition
The
date?
initial petition was in 2014, however, it'd be 5 years after the engineer's report was filed, which was filed in, I'll give you the date on that. Actually filed in December of 2015.
Okay.
So what's the drainage petition that I got filed on here for 2018, April 5th?
That is the new petition, which brought back the supplemental report, where we basically updated the report cost estimate. And, we also did the board had approved us investigating the outlet connection between Drainage District 9 and 43 to confirm for sure how that connection was physically in there, because the record did not show exactly how that connection was done.
Those petitioners want to proceed with the recommended tile improvements from the last report.
That is correct.
With that most recent petition.
So that last report is still good?
That report is still good, and it is included in this amended engineer's report where we updated cost estimates and we made some minor modifications to the plan set in regard to the overall alignment and profile due to the investigation of the tile at the lower end. So after,
So with the level of interest, the parties that were signed on to the petition, remonstrance is highly unlikely with the current makeup of Drainage District 9.
at the time of the new petition, they had, the new petition had over 30+% of the current assessed lands in the district, and therefore would have, landowners would not have been able to have an official remonstrance on that report with the lands under control of the petitioners.
Bear with me here then. If annexation doesn't occur now, the current makeup of 9 would apply consideration for that improvement. You've indicated they own more than 30% of the land, so I don't see it possible to have it being stopped. There would be no ability to have a remonstrance.
But then you still.
Code says, so that likely that improvement would go forward, and if I understand what you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, by code, if we're doing an improvement, and you now see that these lands that we're considering for annexation now are benefited, our hands are fairly well tied. I don't know that it's ironclad, but we really should include them and annex them at that point when the improvements are done and it shows that they receive benefit from it, correct or not?
So.
You have the full right to do the annexation prior to this, because it was also recommended.
So I'm just saying, if we don't do that now, okay, it's likely that the projects would go forward.
And these lands would be annexed.
At that point, those lands would be annexed, and they would not have had any say in considering the project.
That is correct.
But they would be annexed and then have to pay into the project going forward.
That would be correct.
Just want to make sure I understood that.
This gives those landowners
Some voice. And, there could be argument on two sides of that. These landowners haven't paid for any rights to this time. And there would be, in the past, there could have been the argument that they shouldn't have a right of remonstrance on the facility. But the code does not prohibit you in regard to proceeding with annexation prior to this new hearing on the engineer's report.
Well, if they're gonna get tagged regardless, they should have the ability to have the input on the repairs.
Yep. Okay,
Further questions?
before, Mr. Gressler?
I presume there's a drainage tax on DD nine that we've been paying for years.
No.
There's no drainage tax.
You have not been paying drainage tax
Okay,
directly
but those inside the drainage district have been paying, where's that money, or how much money is it, or where'd it go?
We don't have it.
You know,
The only time there's any sort of,
Okay, is there any pot here, or?
there's no reserve hanging out.
Okay.
in there. We haven't like banked a bunch of money to fix anything.
Okay,
Unless that's what the people in the district wanna do. If everybody wants us to bank money for repairs,
There was some.
I didn't know how the system works.
Just to clarify, the drainage law basically states that you shall not
bank money for repairs.
Okay.
You can maintain a small reserve for the purpose of minor repairs to reduce your overall cost, but to bank a project, monies set aside for a future project, the landowners do not have a say then in that project.
Counties in Iowa do that, didn't that Pocahontas County do that? Are you sure on
Cause
that?
there are that just have next to nothing in reserve, and if you get a $20 bill for anything, you can't pay it.
Correct. No, we always recommend that when you do a levy, that you try to do the levies, if it's repair levies, that you try to set it up where you don't have to levy every 5 years, so that you're putting some money in reserve for repairs.
Is there a maximum we can have in a year, like 3,000 or 5,000?
Nothing stated directly in the code. It would be based upon if the Attorney General would find, or the state auditor would find that you are overbanked in money in trying to skirt this ability of people to have say in regard to the improvement or repairs that you should do.
It was like 20,000 when I checked it one time, a couple of years ago.
We have a report. Recommended that we tentatively accept the report, which we did previously, and set the date of the public hearing, we notified the landowners to allow for some background information and questions, and now be wise to open the public hearing.
Sure.
Open the public hearing and ask if we have received any written comments concerning the annexation. I will open it up for public comments concerning the annexation process and the recommendation during this public hearing. Content with closing the public hearing. I don't want anyone to feel they did not have time to make a comment.
Does everybody understand the whole process?
I have a question. It said somewhere we had a vote today, or that isn't happening, or is it? It had to be filed with the auditor by today or at the meeting? That's not right?
Yeah, any objection that you would have to annexation, not to the project, but to the annexation, you being brought in your objection really need to be based on the fact that you did not believe your water drains to this facility at all. And in regard to, again, there will be a separate notice once the date of the public hearing on the engineer's report that has been filed. There will be a separate notice to the landowners, including anybody that's approved for annexation today. And you will receive that notice, and then there would be, again, you have the right of objection to that improvement project at or before the time of the public hearing on that engineer's report. We're estimating that would be set for sometime in November.
Without having a written objection, do you want to state an objection while we're having the public hearing? now would be the time, after this annexation process will be given final consideration.
We can still say yes or no in November.
To the project that's
To the
being.
project, yeah.
Yes,
After the annexation.
but if you aren't annexed, then you wouldn't have to vote for, say, in that project. Content with closing the public hearing? We will, or now can consider further action on Drainage District 39 annexation.
We would recommend, as the engineer for on the annexation, we would recommend the board, adopt, or approve this, report of annexation. And in addition, we would recommend you order reclassification of Drainage District number 9.
With reclassification, will that address the laterals and separate classifications for main laterals?
Correct.
What is reclassification cost?
In the neighborhood, watershed this size, the main itself will be in the neighborhood of about $5 an acre, and then the lateral schedules, so lands could have, $5 an acre on the reclassification for main, and then they also are served by a lateral, and that would be in the neighborhood of $3.5 an acre, in addition that they pay for the separate schedule on the lateral. In the date of reclassification, can be set, or, I should say too, the board could, do the annexation, and then separately wait on the reclassification order until after the public hearing on, the engineer's report. However, the only, vagueness that they've got there is, you're officially bringing these lands in today. You may want to be official in the record that you're ordering a reclassification with the, date of reclassification to be determined after the public hearing on the engineer's report.
Could a preliminary reclassification be done to give an idea of what
There
would look like?
There is a pre-construction reclassification could be ordered. It would be put together in it would not be field reviewed, but we would be able to put together a reclassification that shows individually what people will be most likely assessed for that improvement using the improvement dollars. The time frame for that, however, would be, we wouldn't be able to have that put together, before November. We would have to delay on the engineer's report until, later.
So, with green prices where they're at, what's the most cost-effective way to get this handled? Because I'd hate to pay for all this stuff and not have it voted that they're not gonna do it, and then I have to do another.
You will still end up, most of the costs you would have in a pre-construction would most likely, or the majority of it would be usable dollars towards the final classification schedule. But that schedule, if you put in a new improvement, there may be changes in regard to benefit throughout the watershed from the improvement that you do. So if you're developing the pre-construction schedule to be developed on the improvement, and if the improvement fails, we would need to reconsider that distribution based upon the existing facilities that are there. So, in regard to being able to give the landowners, we can generally give the landowners, ballpark ideas of where we would expect them to be in the lower 1/3, middle, a third, or the upper 1/3, based on their location and wetness of the soils, and we can basically provide that, at the public hearing. In the report, we give an average, if everybody's benefited identically on those acres, what the average per acre assessment would be, and then based upon where you're located in the watershed, we can tell you that you're gonna be, in the lower 1/3, middle third, upper third. And the upper third would potentially be looking at 2.5 times the assessment of the average. So this, and with the fact that there was a remonstrance in the past, there's been a lot of information provided to landowners over the last years, in between 2014 through beginning 2016. I think I would not recommend the pre-construction reclassification. I would recommend you have the acres necessary for the remonstrance aspect. I would recommend moving forward with the hearing on the engineer's report and then doing your classification based upon the outcome of that.
But you say you can provide some pretty good idea as to where they'll fall in line with the average.
Right.
And that's what I want to see, at least the landowners know where they lie, they don't have the exact assessments yet.
Sure.
Could I ask one question? Are the numbers gonna be about the same, costs gone up in the last couple of years?
We did do an update, and we provided a cost estimate based on reinforced concrete pipe and polypropylene pipe, and the overall project cost compared to the old one. It's very similar to those dollars, but I think we might have, we were, in the past, we were looking at a $1.289 million project with everything included, all the way through annexation, reclassification stuff, and we are now looking actually at about, with the plastic pipe, 1.07, so about $200,000 less. And some of that was also refining the actual alignment with reduction in some of the length based on additional investigation of where the tile main actually lays. And then material difference was about another $100,000 less. So, good news, less than what we had projected on the original report.
Course of action, I'd like to say, recommendation to accept the annexation, proceed with annexation, and
Approve the annexation of the lands listed.
Make a motion to approve the annexation of the lands listed, and the reclassification to be determined at a later date after the hearing on the drainage report.
Support that.
motion, Jones, support by Helmers, to approve the annexation of the land listed with reclassification date to be determined after the
right, thank you guys for your attendance.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Informative.
Yes, we also have on the agenda to set the date, for the public hearing on the engineering report. It's required to be, if they want to, you are required to set that a minimum of 40 days out. All these people will receive notice, so. And if you looked at 40 days out from the date, you would, the first Tuesday of November, would, the 6th would be the first Tuesday, with a 40-day time frame. I would not have availability during the following week, the 12th or the 13th. I would be unavailable in that week, but we could also go out to the week of the 20th in advance. The Thanksgiving is the 22nd. And it does not have to be held on Tuesday, but that's in the past been your preference to do.
Since election day.
That's true too, you get elections.
Which one is it?
They were kind of asking us to push it back as much as we can.
Okay. November 20th. And where would you wish to hold the hearing? And you do have legal counsel. If you wish to have legal counsel by phone in attendance, I think his preference was that be done during the daytime hours, that you be able to
We've done evening meetings in the courtroom for this district in the past, but legal counsel does present some potential.
he would be able to.
Availability and cost. But
it is very common that drainage hearings are held during daytime hours, but it is very convenient for landowners if they're working stock market things, farming operations, that it's nice at night for them to be able to be off and work at 10.
And we've done it before where we stayed the public hearing or whatever, and have legal questions, we could get those addressed and reconvene in a week or two, if need be.
That is correct.
I don't remember. I don't say do it at night.
Not at night.
I wouldn't do it at night.
Oh, you would do that.
If we open it up, there's something of
Yeah.
legal concern that comes up.
Sure.
I think we'd have that turn on. I don't know how everybody else treats
And it'd be at the courthouse.
it. Yeah, here.
Okay.
What do you guys think? That way,
They had, no, 9 was.
Other districts closer to Ocean would use town hall and things, but 9, we have to use the courthouse.
It's up to you guys, that's just my thought. What do you guys,
PM?
if that's what you guys think, that's what. So, night or day?
Motion by Schulte, set November 20th at 7 PM in the courthouse.
other thing would be is I would recommend that we, the engineers could draft, notice, but that it be reviewed by legal counsel due to the fact that you do have the remonstrance, issue with this. I want legal counsel to review notice. And, so as long as that is, concurred by the board, I'm fine with proceeding in that fashion.
We need to make sure we do it right, so I hate to have a.
Okay,
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Just, does the board have any questions on the, review that we did in regard to, flood damage, just previously? Okay. Take that seriously.
Do you think that's good enough for you?
Yeah, we,
Make it good.
yeah, it's, again, just in a brief description, the river, the Ocean River facilities are not being, in a sense, maintaining a uniform channel type cross-section, and
We have to maintain channels. There's a lot of riprap in there, maintain too.
there's places of fortification that has taken place where it's starting to go out further in the fields, but the, you know, the, being able to show that this storm caused these erosions with the condition of.
Well, by the time we got to the third one, I'll tell you it did. That's the third heavy rain that we've had just this last week.
Yeah, I mean, this storm right now is not part of the declaration.
Declared that we don't sell the county one?
Osceola was declared before, but not, yeah, we haven't heard the additional declaration for this last storm event. Now, it's possible that will be coming.
I thought, I heard on the radio, there was a bunch that did, but we were omitted.
Oh, no,
Maybe I heard that wrong.
I did not officially check here yesterday, I was out yesterday, so
I
I
heard that, they were, Osceola County was not,
part of.
according to the report on the radio. I may be wrong too.
How large of rain events did you have up here?
Anywhere
From
from
3 to 7 inches.
Where, there's areas that are, we're hearing anywhere from 8 to 14 inches in a lot of areas. We were over in Hancock County yesterday, and, they got areas over there that were, Gardner's in the 9-inch range, and southeast of there was in the 14-inch range. There's a lot of water standing around. Okay, thank you.
Mike will be back shortly, but at this point, we have a presentation from the Iowa State Association of County Representatives. And the fine representatives they are.
Thank you. Okay. First, okay.
I'll let you introduce yourself.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Jamie Cashman. I am the Government Relations Manager for ISAC. I am, along with another gentleman, Lucas Bacon, lobby for the Iowa State Association of Counties when the legislature's in session. And also, we're contracted specifically by the Iowa State Association of County Supervisors to work directly on your behalf on all the legislative priorities and objectives that you come up with every year. And so we're right in the middle of the process of putting forth the ISAC's legislative agenda. The supervisors have already voted on their legislative package for 2019, and they voted on that at the annual meeting during the business meeting. of the county supervisors. And so the three main priorities for the county supervisors this year are on tax reform, specifically on fully funding the commercial and industrial property tax claims, the backfill. And so that again is something that we'll be working on strongly to fully fund the backfill. There was a threat to it this year, and so we're happy when finally everything shook out with the end of session that they did fully fund it. We're happy at the annual meeting that the governor made remarks that she's going to put that in her budget for next year as well, and so we're going to hold her to that again. And depending on the makeup of the Iowa legislature, depending on the election, obviously, we're going to have to work with them again and make sure that that's a part of the budget again for 2019. Next is on mental health funding. That's always a huge priority for ISAC and for counties and for county supervisors. It seems like every year they want to place additional responsibilities and additional services on counties and regions, specifically on the complex mental health needs legislation that passed last year. That calls for additional services. They'll move from Core Plus to Core, but they didn't give us any additional money. The other big thing that we're hearing that they want us to provide children's mental health services, and obviously we believe that's a wise investment to catch on the front end and not spend more expensive services on the adult system. However, they haven't, they need to give us the resources to do so. So what we're asking specifically for is to get rid of those county or those regional caps and allow the counties within the regions to levy what is necessary to fund those budgets. Next, they also put some carry forward restrictions in terms of what money they had to spend down as far as the 20 or the 25% carry forward balance restrictions to get rid of those and to allow, if they want these additional services, to be able to get those strings and cut those strings and allow the counties and the regions not to have those restrictions, provide those, to have the necessary funding to provide those services, but also to maintain those services. And if those first two do not move forward, we've had some supervisors that are very interested in looking at raising the sales tax to a full penny and looking at using a portion of that money specifically for mental health and children's, specifically children's mental health services. So that's the main thing. And then the third priority has to do with in terms of water quality and water quality management, and calling for the raising of the first 3/8 of a cent for the IWIL, the Natural and Outdoor Resource Trust, and to fund that for outdoor recreation opportunities, but also for water quality. So those are the supervisors' priorities. The Iowa State Association of Counties Legislative Committee met for the second time last week, and those are also the same priorities that ISAC is also putting forward. And so what will happen now in terms of the legislative process, since the ISAC Legislative Policy Committee has met, now those recommendations will go to the full ISAC membership, and you'll have the opportunity to vote online through that process and to make recommendations and ultimately to the ISAC board, which will ultimately set the priorities at their November board meeting. And then from then we'll move forward in advancing both the supervisor's agenda and both ISAC's agenda. So with that, I'll open up to any questions if you have any.
How come you guys didn't lobby to get that unfunded mandate for mental health not passed?
Oh, what'd you say?
The unfunded mandate that we ended up with for mental health,
Yeah.
did you guys lobby against not getting that passed, or what was your position on that?
Our biggest thing is we supported the services, but obviously we needed the resources to get that done, and that's why we're pushing for it for this year, to make sure that we have the resources to do it.
Wouldn't it make more sense to have the resources first before you pass legislation?
Well, time and time again, when this issue is popped up, we've raised the issue.
They're not presenting the legislation.
I know, but they lobbied to get it passed, which still left us with an unfunded mandate.
Lobby to get what passed?
This is the lobbyists, they lobbied for these unfunded mental health. So the position you took was that it should pass.
Well, our ultimate deal was we supported the services and so forth, but we also called for that you have to give us the resources to do so. And that's why, again, this year, we're again calling for the funding for it.
So you guys were registered for the bill's passage, is that correct?
The ultimate legislation that, yes, there was some language in there too that called for an interim study to provide specific funding recommendations, and that will meet on October 5th. So hopefully be for the legislature to take action at the beginning of the next session to address funding. So as long as that was put in there and funding was addressed, that was something that we ultimately decided that we were in favor of the legislation.
So in the meantime, how do we fund it?
Well, we're in the process now of just going through the rules. So in terms of putting those programs up in place, it's gonna take a while for them to get up and running.
So what, I guess from what I understood, we're gonna have to cut some other services in order to provide the funding for these services since they weren't funded.
That's not my understanding, sir.
I'm just looking at some of the other
I think
boards that I sit on, we had this discussion
okay.
about these unfunded.
So in terms of, how is your region sitting in terms of your cash balances?
Oh, Jason, we have a lot of.
We're staying good through next year probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say good anymore, but.
Yeah. And so
with
that,
the carryover requirement, we can't even look forward to prepare for when it gets worse. We've gotta tie our own hands to meet that portion of the law, knowing that in a year down the road, we can't sustain what is required of us to provide.
and that's why we're specifically calling to get rid of those restrictions. If they truly want us to provide those services, they gotta get rid of those.
He is not coming in, they are not coming in here telling us what they support that we need to learn about. They're responding to what we're encouraging them to.
I don't know, we're being encouraged to ask them in the lobby to pass two unfunded mandates from FML.
They sent out emails asking for legislative
Yeah, I know.
priorities earlier this year. Jamie has been
I'm just talking
responsive and
about-
available.
I'm
every
talking
time
about,
I've tried.
I'm just talking about these specific items that were passed last legislative session.
He doesn't get a final vote. He's working behind the scenes to try to change where their head is.
I asked them where their lobbying position was at, and as a supervisor, I would have preferred that they were not registered in support of that bill to give us.
Did you let them know that? Because they are our lobbyists. Did you let them know that?
I sent my emails, they must go unheralded, because they still supported it.
It's still with the majority.
Yeah, it still goes.
The bottom line though is, if the counties don't have the necessary funding, those services aren't gonna take place. And so the legislature is ultimately gonna have to make a decision, do they truly want those services to be provided within those regions? Then they have to give us the resources to do so. So ultimately, they have to do something about it. Otherwise, these services aren't gonna move forward. All right, well then, if there are further questions, I'll turn it over to my colleague.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. I'm Christy Harshbarger. I'm ISAC's General Counsel. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I do and what our team does. So there are two attorneys on staff, myself and Beth Manley. And Beth is our compliance officer, so she does a lot of HIPAA, other types of compliance issues, healthcare questions, those types of things. I'm very appreciative to have her on staff because those are not my areas of specialty. And then I do all of our kind of standard general counsel work for the organization, so contracts, HR, those sorts of things. But as far as direct member services, I kind of put my work into 3 different buckets. Probably the biggest one is just general member questions, education assistance. If you ever have a meeting that you're looking for speakers or training, we can try to help out with that. But I also take just individual questions. I walk kind of a fine line. So the way I identify my role is I always compare it to, I think, called IRS. They won't necessarily file your taxes for you, but you might be able to talk to a research attorney that can point you in the direction of a form or a code section that you want to look at. That's kind of my role. If you've got a question, I know there's a code section on this, where can I find it? That's a great thing to call me with. But I'm not necessarily going to be the one representing the county. That would always be your county attorney. So I always want to make sure that you talk to them and involve them. And I tell these county attorneys, I try to be a resource, not a roadblock. So that's kind of why you always get that spiel from me if you call me and you talk to your county attorney. Sometimes I feel like folks are hesitant to do that for one reason or another. But the other big reason I think it is great to talk to your county attorney and keep them involved is not only they'll represent the county if there's a problem on down the line, but they can sometimes push the line maybe a little more than the advice you'll get from me, because I don't want to tell you, oh yeah, you can do this, and then you find yourself in trouble over it. So they're a good resource, but they have a lot lot to do, just prosecuting in and of itself is a full-time job. And so if they or you want to reach out as just get another opinion or to have somebody kind of help with that research, a lot of times the county attorneys will ask you to call me. I'm happy to do that. So it's a big bucket of my work. The other thing that we do a fair amount, and have done a fair amount lately, is we have a litigation committee. So it's made up of, I think, 5, maybe 6 of our ISAC board of director members, kind of a cross-section of our board. And we look at different proposals for litigation that's going on in the state that might have a statewide impact to counties. So any sort of request, if you as a county find yourself in a lawsuit or heard of a lawsuit, definitely let us know. There are different ways that we can provide support in those situations. What I see most often is if case is being appealed to the Iowa Supreme Court, we'll do friend of court brief, which is basically just another voice in a lawsuit to say, this is how this could impact counties. And so in those cases, sometimes the county isn't even a party. Right now, we're looking at filing a friend of court brief in a case related to public records. It's actually a city that is part of this case, but it would have the same impact for counties. Other ways that we've been involved, although not frequently, a lot of times, as you know, if you're involved in one of those cases that's going through the appellate process, you have to hire outside counsel, which can get crazy in a hurry. So we have done cases where we've provided financial support, whether ISAC directly or encouraging the counties to participate and help pay for those funds. Like I said, we don't do any direct representation, but there's a lot of various ways it can be involved. The other bucket of work I do is working with affiliates. I think it's kind of a unique situation where they don't necessarily, the county attorneys don't represent the affiliates, and there can sometimes be needs, whether it's just updating governance documents and speakers at conferences, those sorts of things. I'm always happy to help with those questions. I also do a magazine article in our Iowa County magazine. So if there's ever anything you want to see there, I'm always looking for topic ideas for that. So that's kind of an overview of what we do. I don't know if there's any questions for me or anything else you're wondering about what our legal department does. Okay, well, thank you so much.
All right, good morning. Brad Holton. I am the Finance and Program Services Manager for the County. The main role is finances, obviously, but I've kind of moved and learned the health insurance arena, how to operate that program. I think you guys probably met in Life and Health. I don't know if they made it up here, probably April-ish, March, April. We signed the contract back in January, so we were kind of late to the game. Now that we have that under our belt, it should be up here probably at the end of December. During budget time, we'll have to get those rates out to you early. One of the benefits of being in our pool is that you can get those rates early. So hopefully, we've had ongoing meetings with them. They're in the works of doing lots of good things with the pool. They're trying to strengthen numbers, so they're working on life insurance, long-term disability insurance, short-term disability insurance. They're working on an AFI program. The pool, get all the people not necessarily subscribed, but we have the opportunity within our pool to get the best rates. Shopping at different carriers to get the best product for the buck. The other thing we did July 1 is we started a dental program. We're starting a self-funded dental pool as well. So I think we have 15 to 20 counties we have as well. So, and some of those are in our pool, some of those are not in the health insurance pool as well. So the other thing we're kind of working on right now, the wellness initiative for the wellness is the current program ends October 31st. And then January 1st we'll start a new one, and we've always kind of gone through Wellmark for that. We use Wellmark resources to kind of draw our programs. We're looking at so Mercy Health Network has a bunch of hospitals around the state of Iowa, and they have contracted with Catholic Health Initiatives out of Denver to kind of run their wellness programs. So we're kind of exploring that opportunity, instead of using Wellmark, we might use the Mercy Health Network, just because they may have more, they're in the local areas already, so you wouldn't have to have a Wellmark representative drive all over, you can have, Mercy Networks kind of split in and out of, some of the programs and stuff like that, so we're kind of in those discussions at the moment, to get something worked out, so. Other than that, I think that's about it on health insurance. Is there any questions on that, or any other general questions about ISAC that we can answer while we're here?
I found ISAC to be a great resource and really helps prepare you to address the wide variety of things that get thrown at you. And encourage you to work with these individuals, contact them, they've been responsive in my experience. Helpful.
I'll just say too,
Jamie is a cyclone fan. Concerned, but
yeah, so, we also put out, when the legislature was in session, we put out an update, for an ISAC update, but also an update, a legislative update for the supervisors. And there's links on there to comment on anything that we put out. So obviously, if there's some issues that you care about and you will provide some additional feedback, Lucas and I know we'll always get back to you. So, thank you.
thank you for your time. Anything, gentlemen?
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
11 o'clock, 10 cents. We'll move back up to Trail Board Agreement Update.
Has anyone had a chance to look at that 2080 agreement before? Like, it kind of spells out what everybody's duties are in relation to getting everything done with the trail system. From what I understood, we joined up with this to make it a larger project, to make it easier to get grant money. Because as a smaller project, to kind of go further down the line, so I guess it makes sense to hop in with that. Dickinson County is the lead for the entire project, all the way through Allendorf, for 0.7 miles on the other side of Allendorf. And I think we had the discussion about the trail development team, and that we should have had a couple meetings, even though we haven't had one for 10 years. Jared.
They realize that.
Yeah.
I mean, they apologize for not included in this.
Like when Jerry and I went to the meeting, the first thing they wanted to do is amend the contract to split up some debt that was incurred on the project. And I wasn't looking at how everything got split out from a construction standpoint. 72% of the money was spent in Dickinson, 28% was split in Osceola, or spent in Osceola. And we're 35% of the trail, they're 65% of the trail. So if you take the trails grant that we got for the 1.6 million, our share of that would have been $577,984. This has been $1,072,398. So if you apply those to what was spent in each county, we would have had an overrun of about close to $20,000. But then if you compare it to what was spent, they overspent by $354,000 over and above what the grant money they had to do with Dickinson. So what they're asking is for us to pick up part of that $358,000 that they overspent that wasn't covered by the grant in Dickinson County. And I don't know that we didn't get our full spending of the grant money in Osceola County, I don't know that I want to spend our taxpayers' money to help cover this shortfall that went above and beyond the grant. Because it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to say that, yeah, we'd like you to, they split it up, that they would cover 72% of that $358,000, we'd cover that other 28. I think our share ended up at like $100,000 that they want us to kick in on this, and I still didn't get the full 35% of my grant money spent in Osceola County for the trail. I don't understand, I don't agree with having to amend the contract because they overspent the grant and then asking us to pay for it. None of that is spelled out in this 2080 at all. We don't have any, we had no control over how the money was spent or how any of that stuff panned out. We had input on design, signing, trailheads, bridge aesthetics, and any other matters deemed necessary to the successful establishment of the trail. Final cost design was supposed to be presented to us, and it wasn't before proceeding with letting pro this project. I mean, we never had any input on how any of this stuff was racked up, where any of this stuff got done. There was items that were passed along to the conservation director that were never passed along to the board. And
they actually, this is what I find kind of strange, they were in contact with the Sibley, I don't know what they call it.
And vehicle trail.
The bike trail people, and I'm not against bike riding, but we were left out of the picture altogether, and they were contacted several times. So I'm not quite sure. In fact, there was a representative from the Sibley. I don't know what they call it, bike trail board. I don't know if it's Ed Winkle. I don't think it's Ed Winkle. Diane Langstrip is there for that. But they're not part of the 2080 agreement. So I'm not sure. I'm not against that. I'm not sure why they were involved and we were not. I don't think we should change the 2080 agreement at all until we get this hashed out. I don't think we need to come up with $100,000. A lot of discussion was on bikes, ATVs, snowmobiles. That board, and tell me if I'm wrong, really don't want anything but maybe a bike and possibly a snowmobile on that trail, on the railhead itself.
There were a couple of guys from that group that were amenable to having ATV used on that trail, considering you have a manufacturer of side-by-sides in Dickinson County.
I would have a hard time with ATVs and stuff on there because are they gonna start going down off the trail and into the corn?
Well, actually, believe it or not, their county wants us to do that. Their recommendation was we use it for ATVs, so let's make a trail alongside the trailhead. Am I right, Dave?
Yeah. Well, it's no different than somebody riding their snowmobile in the ditch and they zoom up into my field.
But hopefully then your crop's gonna be out.
It will be this time of year as well.
But if they go down there in the summer, because I was approached about that with the ATVs and stuff, and I would, at the time, I didn't have a problem with it. But how are we gonna control each farmer that gets crops knocked down?
I got kids running four-wheelers through the ditch right now that don't run my crops over.
I don't think that's,
I don't think that's.
I don't think by allowing them, in any way we've been encouraging people to construct property, so they shouldn't be doing that, and
But I guess that was the question that was thrown at me.
but I was kind of surprised Dickinson County was actually for using the ditches or the right of way to keep them off the rail. But Nick was there, and he's not for that, I know he isn't. But, go ahead, Andrew.
There's a lot of people in the area, and we lose a lot of money to everybody going to take their ATVs and side-by-sides out of the area to go ride some. And we don't have anything it'd be nice, and especially since you have a manufacturer up side by side in the area, but you can't even ride one around here on the trail anymore. I mean, it's great, we got more than enough bike trails for everybody that wants to ride a bike. I mean, at some point, you gotta kinda cater with the rest of the taxpayers, cause like, their permit for those four-wheelers, those side-by-sides and those snowmobiles goes into these funds to give us grant money to put on the trails.
I don't have a problem with them being out there, I just wanna look into the future, cause if crops and stuff aren't getting hurt, how do we handle it? You know, that's just something to look at.
It's no different than me driving a car on the road if I just had to go off-road and down to level B and somebody's
So, yeah, insurance cover that.
I'm not, my crop insurance doesn't cover it.
Our insurance, whoever drives out there, sure should.
So, catch them.
You gotta get
It's
action.
still an enforcement issue,
Yeah.
Well, that was part of the discussion too, we talked about that, how, you know,
There's not.
well, I guess part of the big issue was,
Well,
they come up with this money deal and we over $100,000.
Because they're like, wow, well, and they kind of made it sound like they wanted us to go on our own now, even though they were supposed to finish this project with us, and I'm like, well, having us try to get grant money for our 13 miles was not the whole intent of joining up. The whole intent of joining up was to have this one large project to get the grant. That's why we signed up. You guys have control of the project and dictated what happened with it, because the lion's share of the money was being spent there. And I get that. At least I'd like to get our share of the money that we should have got, instead of getting a bill for $100,000
And have nothing.
and have nothing. I'm not amenable to, I don't think that we should have to redo the agreement. I mean, we didn't have any input on how the money was spent. It's not my fault that they overspent the grant. I don't know what you want us to do.
I wouldn't rewrite it.
And I don't know how we can be responsible for them overrunning the grant when the amount that what they're short essentially is what they overspent in tickets.
Well, what we have received benefit, you said, we get nothing out of it, we got 28% of it.
Well, I'm just saying, we haven't received our full amount of what we, for our 35% share of the trail.
We don't.
We should have got 35% of the grant.
I don't think we have a $100,000 bill.
Oh, I don't think we have a $100,000 bill either. Because if you use our share of the grant money we should have got for 35%, we would have almost had $20,000 left to spend yet in Osceola County. If you take their share of their 65% of the $1.6 million in grant money, they overspent it by $354,000. And what they're asking is to cover $358,000. So like, I don't know where, from a money standpoint, where we're benefiting from having to help them out with the overspending of that money, because that was above and beyond what the grant money allocated for that stretch should have been.
To me, it's just poor management if they're gonna spend that much more than what they've got.
Exactly. See, I guess you wait for your next pile of grant money
Yeah.
if you need to get something else done, but I don't,
How quick are you gonna get a grant when you haven't paid for what you've done previously?
I don't know. We haven't had any information passed on to us at all.
I'm trying to remember when they got that grant.
Well, the initial grant they got was $500,000
Yeah.
when they set up 180.
And at one point, whatever, right?
Yeah, and then they ended up getting that 1 point whatever extra $1 million tagged in there. But when I talked to Erin Reed, the trails director over there, she thought that they were done as soon as they got to the edge of Dickinson County on those couple bridges, and I'm like, no, I'm covering the 2080 agreement, you guys you're in charge of this from Allendorf to the end of this.
They're just gonna start on that side and go all the way to
Yep.
That's the way I understood it from the start.
Yep, and 2080 agreement said that they're the head contractor all the way throughout.
Yeah.
And now they're like, well, we also want $100,000, and we want you to go get your own grant money, and I think we're done helping you with it. And I'm just like, well, okay, I don't know that I agree with that. It'll give you guys something to ponder on.
My concern with the way I read 2080 is they do have the authority to do the project.
Yep.
I don't know that we even had to be at the table. Do I like that? No, but technically, that's what I see it.
But there's nothing in the 2080 agreement to allot us paying, and that was what they want to amend, is to stick something in there to allow us to pay them
Right.
money, and I'm like,
But it is going for something that it has gone for something that we joined on to and want to see happen in theory. Is there a way that we don't participate at the level that they're saying currently? We take into account that, well, if this was being done fairly, there's 65% in Dickinson and 35% in Osceola, we want to see us get to those levels at least.
yeah.
So don't just split out what's left and we have to come to the table with that, and we at least address, if we had received 35% of the benefit, we would only owe this much of what we're short.
We didn't get 35% of the grant money, we got 28.
Right. So I don't like being in a situation, but I don't want it to hinder us with potential going forward and seeing further advancement of the project either.
Well, I think there's gonna be real discussion.
They didn't really want to go forward anymore with trying to get grants for us, and we didn't have the discussion about that I'm having today with you guys. That wasn't even had. They just said, hey, we want some money, go talk about it with your board. And I don't know, I got a hard time with that.
I'm sorry, I missed exactly, what is the amendment that they're wanting then? Is it just dealing with the finances?
Just dealing with finances on how to get us to pay for this
Well,
override.
I think there's maybe even a little more. They kind of want to change it so they're done with it.
Yeah, so that we're responsible, I think, for our 13 miles.
That doesn't go with the original guide, I don't see why we would want to do that.
We didn't go into great detail about what they wanted, but that was one of the first things they talked about, was amending the 2080 agreement. And then they threw the dollar figure at us, and then they kind of threw the, but.
Maybe you can plan your own grant.
Yeah.
You don't really want to do it more.
Stop and figure from their point of view, if they can suck us into doing that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we signed up. You guys have control of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So do we submit something back to them that says, no, this project will be completed if we're gonna give any consideration to, or the goal is to have it completed, I know it could limp along.
And as long as it stays that large of a project, it should still give you greater access to funds.
You get a lot better shot at it.
Well, and they're a long ways from having it completed and the money available. A long ways.
So the odds of you being able to ride a bike down our stretch through Osceola that's a ways off. So we were talking about ATV usage in the meantime, because I know there's been a lot of people that have been using it. They go up into Dickinson County, Lake Park, where a lot of guys have been going up there, and then, coming back.
It's not wide enough for that, is it?
Yeah. Yep, it's wide enough for a side-by-side.
Yeah, because legal, with government involved, doesn't have to go this 5 feet wide or something like that, 5 or 6 feet.
Yeah, whatever the bridge.
It's anywhere, what is it, bridge, anywhere from 12 to 16 feet on the top of the bridge.
I'm still trying to figure out who was goofy enough to let them get in from that far.
I don't know who was watching the funds that they were able to overspend it.
Doesn't make a bit of sense to me.
But I'd be like, well, you still have to spend the 20,000 that we should get in Osceola. To get us up to 35%, but then that would push that number up.
There was some discussion about we don't want ATVs on the trails at the lake, so we understood that, we agreed with that, I mean,
I will say I've had two people from Lake Park jump me about they'd love to have ATVs up there.
Yeah.
Because evidently they must travel quite a ways in order to go right.
Yep.
Well, I got the guy that runs Gunderson say it's like kind of a blessing for him this summer. That's the board, and like, the ATVs come in and spend $200-300 on approval money and all, and it's been good for him.
Bowling, burgers and fries, that works both ways. With them coming down our direction as well.
I think, probably Dickinson, there's a trail up in Minnesota someplace, maybe you guys might, that they've developed in that area where it's solely bikes and it's really developed. We'll still Neshoba County and someplace up in Minnesota are kind of two different things. I don't think we'll ever get to that level where you build hotels and, you know, but maybe I'm wrong.
Hey, what if you could get the thing going to where, from the lakes, they go to Jackson and over Whittington now? That would be a big item.
So anyway, then we had quite a lengthy conversation. Zach Marco went for Lachine. Nick was there. We were supposed to have somebody from Harrison. Did you ever find anybody or?
I think we were gonna have that right over here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess based upon this discussion, I can see considering participating in covering that to some extent, but not the way it seems to be presented, and I wouldn't give any thought of it if there's talk and no intent to continue and see the project through, most of the county through completion.
That's kind of the gist I got, is, we'll get some grants, and I'm like, no, not with their 2 miles.
But that's not what this says.
No, that's not what that says at all. So it's, yeah, I don't know.
Just curiosity's sake, when I go to Northwest Iowa Planning, I'm gonna ask you, what are the odds of somebody getting a grant for 13 miles?
Good luck. You gotta,
They write a lot of those grants.
you gotta be partners, get a bigger stretch. And then we're looking at smaller dollar amounts, if you do get one, whereas these larger projects, it's a lot more money.
Have any of our bridges been fixed at Minnesota County?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
They have?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's
I think all the bridges.
all the bridges are done.
Okay.
The only other holdup is there's a chunk over by Allendorf that they're still trying to get situated from CFD.
West of Allendorf, between Allendorf and the next mile, I think George owns it.
What she said.
Oh, we were also informed that anytime, we asked this question, anytime that the railroad wants to come back in,
They can't.
Yep.
it's, what do they call that, Ed?
I forget, but you lose all your,
Oh, yeah, it's not.
so we, when just let ATVs run that thing for a little while.
I thought the county owned that whole stretch.
They do, but it can be.
No, I mean, what you're saying.
No, there's a little bit,
I didn't realize he.
yeah.
Oh, she
There's
said
an issue with something.
CFD, she said that they were having
Yeah,
issues
CFD too,
getting, they own some little stretch of the right of way into there that they've been working on for like a year to get.
You know, cheating they do.
So over by Almar, because they bought the elevator over there
Yeah.
when they did the merger. So I don't know what the holdup is with that last purchase of that right of way.
Yeah, 'cause I know they own Seminole cheap. I didn't realize they owned that place.
That's the sticky wicket, that's the last right of way they have there.
But I don't know if we want to take action on that,
We'll just see what November
We'll
ninth.
see what the next meeting brings.
yeah.
'Cause I,
With your response
Well,
amendment that we.
And we were both a little dumbfounded at first, and I was trying to do the math, and Ed did it after we got home. I didn't think that the percentages were right, and then Ed figured it out afterwards, and we never even actually talked about our share of the grant. We were just gonna, that $100,000 was both thrown at us, and we went, oh, what, you know?
we didn't have any of that discussion about how the funds were split or any of that.
And I would even be willing to give Dickinson County consideration for their doing the engineering.
They said that their in-kind contribution according to the agreement was covering a lot of these things, but they still should have been able to get it within the confines of the grants, of what they had for money. Because you gotta know how much you have to spend. And at some point you get down to, we probably better quit here. But,
I think there was agreement we were gonna try to get along, but, to be honest, we were a little ways away from that, aren't we?
Anything briefly with the wind turbine improvements, maintenance?
I did have a talk with Sharon over, and there's been some questions about, Wayne Vista and Cherokee are having the same issue. When they're going through and they wanna do the same thing over to Harris, where they wanna refurbish and go from like a 2 megawatt motor to like a 3 and a little bigger blade. blades, so it's an improvement that would increase the taxable value. Well, what they've been doing in Buena Vista and Cherokee are saying it's maintenance. So then they're saying they shouldn't have to pay any improvement tax on that parcel. Well, Darren talked to, where was Mike? Talked to the county attorney over in Storm Lake, I think he's ready to retire, but they would like some of the other counties to get together to try to get Attorney General's opinion on this whole maintenance versus improvement program. Because it'd be like me adding 3 or 4 rings on the top of my bin and saying it was maintenance, or we all know it was an improvement, because that's not what was there when you start. If you replace that with the same exact motor, that's maintenance. If it burns up or whatever, and you put the same thing back on it, maintenance. But if you improve it by putting a larger thing that creates more electricity, larger blades, it's, in everyone else's opinion, that's an improvement, but they're submitting it to the assessor's office as maintenance. So then they don't have to pay on it, and things that's not.
But the assessor does the assessment of it, so why can't say?
She can't, there's some sort of, it's how they submit it to her office, and if they don't submit it as an improvement, it doesn't be taxed as an improvement. So they're submitting it as maintenance.
It sounds like you're submitting,
They want to stack them shoulder.
falsified documents, so you know.
But that's why the county attorney for Buena Vista tried to get a hold of the AG, and the AG wouldn't give them one. So they are trying to work with other counties, because this is gonna start coming up.
I agree, I just don't know how much authority we have is dealing with the assessor's office,
Yeah.
with a conference board that involves more than just us, so.
Yep, but just
I'm
from,
reticent to speak too much towards how we have to.
but they would like the county attorneys to get together with the other county attorneys of these counties to kind of have some discussion on what we can do to figure out the difference between improvement and maintenance.
Anybody, any ideas, or any encourage you to work with Sharon to get that conversation?
Yeah, she
started?
was going to, I think that touch base the other day, but some sort of assessor's meeting thing here this last week, or maybe it was this week. She was, gonna converse with her counterparts.
Okay.
That's all I have.
I am going to let you guys start the 11th, I don't know why I said that.
All right.
Wayne, you want to step up there? But when you're ready. Absolutely. A little bit of alternate information, a little updates for everything else there. Last time we talked about what we could do, just investigate some alternates, we have some time, but we didn't want to keep this too far behind any things, we want to keep this in the front budgetary wise. Aaron and I did talk about these other items that I think you have better handle on than I do as far as the cost of what the land costs were as far as the total project cost. But, what we looked at, first of all, the discussion of the items we have, I think everybody knows that we had problems with the Osceola REC and then, Wind Street, as far as the placement of the infrastructure out there. REC's gone ahead and moved the poles, we restaked the right-of-way line, and we found that they were just buried where they were, and it didn't really make much sense where they were. They went ahead and got that those moved, a couple weeks ago, so that's done. The REC portion of the south half, the south mile has been done. Wind Street is still a hold up. We keep, literally, we're calling them daily, trying to get things back up here. Right now, I think they're just getting done meeting with Jake of Midwest Contracting about that, so it's getting serious about getting things moved back for shipping. The last 2 pages of this are
the intersection, the first one shows the intersection of 822, and the next one is further up in the mile. What we did was we located, and this is just information wise, what we did was we located where the line was located, for JAPEX, for the Midwest Contracting Authority. And you can see that, where they're at, the one that shows Tyler and 822, they're good, almost 5 feet from the right-of-way line. And if you look at the next one up, that's about, over a quarter mile up. I just took some of the shots here. You can see the next one, they're almost 10 feet, or one's actually more than 10 feet from the right-of-way line. So they're supposed to be within 2 feet of that right-of-way line, and they're clearly not. Restakes exactly what we did before. Some of our stakes were still there, I don't know. Nobody knows. I tried to pin it down why, and actually I don't care to some degree why, but it's just a fixed type thing. They don't have an understanding why they went for it. I think what it was just, they had a crew out there that just tried to shove it in and get out of the way. We worked with them very specifically in keeping that, everything within about 2 feet. Aaron and I both looked at what they proposed is supposed to be within 2 feet of the right-of-way line. It really is not. It doesn't make sense on those plans, the views. One time somebody said, well, maybe they put it in the old right-of-way. It's not even close to the old right-of-way line, so nothing. I don't know what happened, but they're out there right now, meeting to hopefully get this thing fixed, in short order. Some degree, the weather's kind of helped them to some degree, because the contractor hasn't been able to get to that west half of the south mile, but they're going to be in our way very quickly. And some degree they already are, but the contractor's been working on it. So hopefully we'll have some type of rendition with them. When we staked out that line, we actually met with them and asked if they need more stakes. They had enough stakes to go by. So I think they can do diligence. If they need more, and it shows where things were at, they just kind of went where they wanted to go, I guess. That's kind of that situation there. Like I said, the poles you can kind of see too, that there's a couple poles showing, one's pretty close to right away, and one's a little further over. Those are already done. That was how it was originally, so those have been moved actually. Weather delays, obviously. It's been a horrible year, paving, just paving and earthwork like this. Every one of our projects is delayed. Every one of them. It's just nothing. Finally getting some concrete down in the project in Ironton that was supposed to be done literally 2 months ago. It's been horrible delay for a lot of these projects, especially once we're going through them. So, once they get done, we're going to come in and shoot what the existing grade is, so make sure that our plans are correct, as far as what they put in, so we have to wait for them to get done for us to get this plans. Yeah, those are very done. So. The estimated cost, construction cost, original one up there, 8-inch, 26-foot wide, and I gave you 2 cross sections. They're shown here. First one is called standard off the left end, off the right side. We got one is the top is the concrete, one is the bottom is the asphalt. And then the next set is one that's called alternate. And that goes to 24-foot wide. But it keeps the top the same. As you see on the 24-foot wide, we have 6-foot shoulders. Anyway, the shoulders are a little bit wider, gravel shoulders are wider, whereas before it's base shoulders or 6-foot.
What's the normal width?
Well, older is 22, but right now 24 is the standard. You know, we have extra width on the shoulders, which permits this equipment to get their wheels out, you know, out away from it. It's not like a 2-foot shoulder, so they can set out further away from the center line, which doesn't impede the trucks going through or something. So, yeah, it is wider, we did that on purpose because of truck traffic, you know, we still have, you know, farm traffic for the, farm vehicles. So we wanted to try to accommodate them with their dualies, farm traffic, get them, be able to get safe, safe traffic to and from, even, allow like the trucks to buy too.
I can clarify that too, about roads. All of our county roads are between 22 and 24 feet wide. A modern design county road, I would design at 24, both of them. You know, minimum, that's what I would design. And if you want safety shoulders and those type of things, then you start going wider. Actually, I think there might be a little bit of error. I think the bid is 28 feet, right? I think it's 28.
Oh, yes.
So the 26, I think is wrong.
Yep, no, I agree.
It might, the typo there, typo on the.
What was that there?
Should be 28 rather.
28 foot is what we have, so we have basically a 24-foot row with 2 foot pavement shoulders, 2 foot paved safety edge.
So then on the bid, it'd be 28 instead of 26.
Yes, both 20 should be 28 instead of 26 on both those.
Okay, and how about, 24,
That'd be the same, at
24,
24.
26?
That'd be 24. Because we took away 2 of those.
If you drive on some of the roads going up into Worthington or in Nobles County, they've improved a lot of their roads wider, like to like 26, 28, where they put in rumble strips. If you ever driven some roads, you'll notice some roads that got improved to even wider dimensions than a typical farm. I've seen it driving some of their roads, where they'll actually install a road that's in that 26 to 28 foot range in width, and then they'll maybe put edge line rumble strips too for safety edges, you know, and that kind of stuff.
Gives you, when we do concrete, it gives us the ability to have paved shoulders. Actually, you don't really see it except there would be a joint here. That joint's actually critical for the fact that if you have a truck or a heavy load, on near that joint, which you typically drive between joints, that load will transfer to the paved shoulder. It actually just, the worst part of any concrete pavement, that's where it fails, because all the load doesn't have the ability, or the load for the truck, or make the truck traffic, can't be transferred anyplace else. So by having a paved shoulder next to it, got that ability to do it.
I know I've had a lot of good comments on the road we put in a few years ago, gee, that's a wider.
Yeah, and that was a 31-foot.
And that's in a more urban setting too, kind of as a semi-urban road cross section. So it's a little different too when you get into that type of segment, versus like a straight shot road where people are moving linearly. There's a lot of turning movements and a lot of activity in a condensed area. Some of those wider pavements become more, in town, you never have a road that's, I mean, 28 is narrow in town, but then that doesn't really accommodate parking. Now you have to get into 36 or 34 or 30, you know, these 30-foot ways to accommodate these type of things.
You know, we went back to 24 on the 40, and I think that's something that you need here in this too. It's just not as comfortable. Granted, you don't have as much of a wider traffic there because you don't have as much farming. George doesn't have that for us, but you don't have the intense amount of traffic from the four-wheel drive tractors going back and forth on miles.
Question is, with the exception of Highway 9, traffic's gonna be coming off 24 footers or narrow roads, aren't they?
Yeah, sure. It's just what you want to design for through that. You know, it's an option, we threw that in there, that's why we show reduced amount. You reduce the amount of concrete, and you see the huge cost savings with it, then you add the gravel back into the shoulder, because we want to keep that gravel shoulder.
Do you have a cost estimate for the 24 foot asphalt?
No, but it'd be similar reduction. So, maybe saving $100,000. Yes, those 26s should be 320.
Yeah, 26 should be 28.
Is they at 24?
Stays at 24.
Yeah. 24 foot I wouldn't, just to make sure you have what, apples, like we just.
Yeah.
So
you're recommending 28, or? I would recommend, if the funds are there, the 28 is much better for the fact that you get a longer life, span out of it. You accommodate the traffic better, you're gonna have less head-on collisions, or side collisions.
There's only 74,000.
Yeah, it's foolish not to.
28 and 24.
Right.
Really?
Foolish not to go there.
Different shoulder.
Yeah, you increase the amount of shoulders, concrete, less than the concrete, you have the additional rock for the shoulders. And that's conservative, I mean, there might be a little bit more, but right now, it's crystal ball, we don't know exactly. One thing even on the asphalt is, that is, I think Eric could probably say this too, is that asphalt's the hardest to predict long-term what it's gonna be. Because it's, much more subject to markets, oil markets, supply, than concrete is typically. So that savings is, as we see right now, potential $300,000 savings, apples to apples, in the 28 way. And that's why I actually included this again, was looking at that sinking fund. If you do asphalt, you're gonna have more maintenance. And that's roughly a number of years before you get into that additional. Yeah, I think we were talking, 10, 15 years, what we were talking about.
At least.
Yep.
Depends on what you design that section.
It starts at,
It depends on what you call, there's maintenance no matter what.
Right.
I'm talking about, you're talking about more expensive maintenance or just cheap maintenance? Because there's cheap maintenance that, there's like, the stuff that's cheap, it is. I mean, like seal coating that road, you're gonna, at year 5 or something to preserve it, you're talking, you're gonna spend $40,000. Which is relatively cheap when you're talking about what we're dealing with. It's all relative, right? Sealing the cracks, $10,000. These are just maintenance things. When you get into the overlay, now we're talking about something that's gonna be $100,000, a couple $100,000, type of project, so. Yeah.
So it's one of those things that you need to set aside an amount so that you're able to come back and do some of those immediate fixes that are the 10 years in, do the larger fixes. And that's just knowing what I'm trying to show, it's just on an apples to apples. So when you say it's asphalt, it's cheaper, yes it is, but there's also more maintenance to keep the expense.
I would expect it at year 20, the more rehabilitation work happening. Yep. The more costly rehabilitation work. After that, then I think that their life is the same, or even asphalt might win, actually, to be honest. Depending on how you look at it, how well you maintain it. Depends on how well you maintain it.
You can see that out here in Highway 60.
Yeah.
The difference, concrete or asphalt.
Yep, like, regarding what portion of Highway 60, because there's a couple different segments there.
The one top to the concrete.
The one from Ashton, or from Civil.
Going south, going south. Okay, so what happened there is there was the old highway right there. You're talking about the south segment, and along that segment, there's 2 different segments there, and I see problems with both of them. There's the south segment, and that was up over the top of the old road. So it's really not a fair comparison. Because really what you had is you put an overlay on top of an old concrete road. The other side, it's really wavy. I don't know if they did that late in the year, or how they, I don't know how that happened, but and that's why they went out and milled it. When I look at that road though, I don't see actually a lot of cracking, or like significant amount of cracking. So I'm actually,
It was strong.
but if you're talking about the southbound one, I can tell you right now, that segment was not a reconstruction. It was an overlay on top of an old crappy road, is what it was. And that's all you're gonna get out of something like that. You're not gonna get, it's what's down below that's causing the problems.
But to me, the difference in money, it's a no-brainer to go to 28.
Well, if we have the money.
We've
been talking about a $3 million project, and if we're looking at another $2 million for this next phase of construction, and we're already at,
So we've got 1.8 left, I think, to spend. Or right in that area.
We got it on the
we got
weekend right
interest
now.
to pay before we even start collecting revenue from this tip, that we didn't part for.
Yeah.
That is
Forgot where I put that.
I didn't put that 1,000, I thought it was 2.7, something there left, so we have 400,000 change there, I think.
Oh, we're gonna go.
How much?
What, 500?
You know, you've got your line costs and stuff, some of the, really is.
We have an idea if we know, I mean, they can be calculated right now, roughly.
Okay, what is it?
So, the question is really how much we paid Midwest so far, and what number are you using right now? Does this number you have left, does it include anything for Midwest that's being paid out today? Or does it not include that?
That's what we're asking.
Yeah, so if I can make that calculation pretty quickly, if I know what numbers we're getting, I can rough it in anyways.
Well, Midwest gave us what, 400?
Yeah.
50, we purchased 467,456.
We paid them $117,000, you know, and I don't know how much.
So what was their total left, what was their total bill? Was it
1.2 million. 1.2 million.
So that's what we have to subtract, is the 1.2.
Right, we're probably gonna be pretty close to that number, you know, it does fluctuate some, but I think we're gonna be pretty close.
Yeah, we're gonna close to it.
The 1.2.
So we should have 1.6, 1.6.
This other
We
one,
borrowed 2.8, right?
one brought 2.8, and we have a $209,000 prize grant.
So, yeah, 1.6 with this contract, but we had the land acquisition, we had engineering costs, we had
Exactly.
a number of other expenses.
Which most of those costs have been paid, most of them. That's why it's,
That's why we were just.
we can look at what we have today and estimate.
And we're gonna start paying interest on the borrowed money, so you're soon, comes back until we start getting revenues.
I think I did a quick calculation with her and then some quick numbers she gave me, and, you know, it might be something like 1.2 million that we have left for paving, it might be something like that. So, it might be 1.2, 1.3 million.
That we had left for the paving?
For the paving, yeah.
$2.5 million.
Yeah, exactly, no, you're not far off, I don't think. I don't think you're far off. Still have the exact numbers, it's hard to say that with
So then you
precision.
gotta consider the $300,000 savings, don't you? On the asphalt?
You do, and what I'm just cautioning about is, it's a savings initially, but.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
I understand.
No, it's just.
Still gotta get paid for it.
Yeah, it's a legitimate thing to look at, I mean, that's what, you know, my thought is, if you're catching that savings up front, you're paying back on that loan, and valuations go up, or if the payment can be accelerated, then you start having some revenues available to address those, whereas, just borrow it now, I mean, all the increment isn't gonna service it, we're putting ourselves in a hole. And then it's just back to just having wherewithal and understanding that it's, you save that, it will get cost. Within that term.
And right now, the balance is $2,073,986 in that fund.
Okay, 1 second, what's that number again, 2 million what?
And take the 425. So that puts us at
Then we paid Midwest Contracting $117,467.20 so far.
And that's not taken out of that.
No,
If we approve today's pay estimate, then we would have $500,000.
We can just get rid of that, it doesn't matter, so you got 2 million what?
$2,073,986.
73,000.
986.
Okay, so you got basically 2,074,000, okay. Now, and that included that 118,000, okay.
So with this
So
contract,
we
we're
got,
gonna have $650,000.
we got 1.2 minus that, you know, that amount, so
No, we'll do
1.2 million.
You already paid $100,000.
Yep, we gotta subtract that out. Yeah, we paid 118.
It's $117,467.28 to Midwest
Yeah.
Contracting.
Gotcha.
Plus that bill we have to pay.
No practical purposes, we have this. Okay.
It's a script on the page. Where are they at?
What was the original cost estimate?
first tip, it was for 2.8. I think that's what the original.
That was close to, 2.9 maybe.
Yeah.
That's what's that's
This balance doesn't include that RISE grant either, I know.
Yep, yeah, they had 209,
So that helps me.
209 or 309?
that puts us at 1.2 million. And now, that doesn't also account for additional engineering fees and stuff like that. So, but that's 1.2 million.
Or interest on what we borrowed.
Or interest.
What's the amortization? You won't be borrowing taxes in about a year now.
Where, how much are we gonna be short?
Well, if I knew how much you're gonna spend for, I haven't reviewed this, but I mean, if I knew exactly your price, I probably won't be a car engineer, I'd probably be a millionaire entrepreneur. But like, there's a lot of factors here, so it depends on how much that project comes in at, that project that when you construct the road.
We're looking at about half.
It could be about $500,000 based on our estimates right now.
How do we miss this?
No,
I don't know, I mean,
I know we talked about 2829, but I don't know if the land costs weren't figured in.
I think at the end of the day too, we only had so much we could actually borrow, period, I mean, it came right down to it, guys, I mean, there was only a limited amount of money that we could do it, and
That's when our first estimates came in about the 2.8, 2.9.
they came in about $3 million, that was the initial estimate that were provided.
Yeah, the other thing too is that, and I don't know where that was, but the turning lanes at one time were separate items. I don't know if that initial cost came back in and added to it. Because originally we talked,
I understood that was the package, the whole thing.
but I know that at one time those turn lanes weren't part of the package. So I don't know when we came back into the 2829, because those are substantial. I mean, you're talking like $300,000 for those turn lanes. $300,000-$400,000. And they're really significant. So I guess that's the other thing we can talk about. I'm not really crazy about it, is that south turn lane is somewhat optional. For the fact that, I'm not crazy about it, but it's, we're adding that specifically because we've never had those turning, traffic on there to help people come from the east. The RISE grant is predicated on the turn lane, so that's gotta get, to get us to $9,000 north, on the north end. But the south end is we put it in there for a reason. I think it's a great idea, because you're gonna have a significant amount of truck traffic turning over that mill, coming from RISE grant, didn't know where it is, right? They don't see value in it.
Well, they don't have county road. They just do state roads, don't they? That right?
I'm sorry, my south end, are they turning south from Highway 9? No, south. Oh, okay,
How much will that save us on the south end?
like I said, it might save you $150, I'd have to check.
Let's say they're starting on that.
We already did a lot of
We got
work
the
though.
dirt on it, but we don't have concrete, so, that's what I don't think.
Could we leave that as dirt?
You could. It's something you can do in the future, but it's just.
Big picture though, too, guys, ladies and gentlemen, things are starting to come up a little bit inflationary wise. So I can see that happening some impact, but even with these estimates, I haven't reviewed these, but it's very possible that the gap isn't as big as we're talking about. Why do I say that? I don't know what these prices are based on. And when they do a job of this magnitude, this is a big enough job that they're gonna probably have a station, they're gonna put up a portable plant, whether they do concrete or asphalt. And this is gonna bring down the cost of the mix noticeably, significantly. So, like when you guys did railroads and these things, they were doing ready mix, I'm sure, on these jobs. And these are other costs that might not be, they're kind of maybe estimated a little higher too. At the end of the day though, I do see that there's definitely a deficit. The magnitude of that deficit, deficit, I don't know.
That's why
Precisely.
And that's, I concur with Mayor, is that hopefully these prices come in better, but I'd rather be conservative, more conservative, so we don't get us where we're at again. I'd rather say that
think that's pretty much,
It's just cost of labor. So we're looking at $3,750. Then we get $290 garage grant, so, probably probably.
I factored in the RISE grant, it looks like we have 1.2 million with it, so we got about $1 million and then $200,000 RISE grant. And, you know, I thought, I did some quick checking too, I didn't put together the estimate here, but I remember talking to a concrete guy a few weeks back and just putting in some rough numbers, and there's multiple wheels turning here, so it's not like, but just the concrete portion, I think there was an opportunity that could be somewhere in the $1 million range, just for the pavement, you know what I mean, itself. There's other work involved too, it's not just that. And so, again, I'm not formally the engineer who tries to default to Wayne, but I mean, I can see that it could potentially come in cheaper. I still see a deficit, I do see a deficit based on how much I funded it.
so when are you gonna put this up again?
Oh, we're talking winter, winter, January.
Depending on if it's concrete or asphalt, probably apply that too, because if you do go asphalt, you'll wanna go right after I did a big project. You will, because that's your greatest opportunity to capitalize on savings there. If you go concrete, then I would say January, February, that's when you should get it.
I'm not gonna say earlier, but
Potentially, but within a certain reasonableness there.
Well, and, this is something too, like I said, I'm trying to be conservative enough, and I hope Aaron, his numbers show it's like more exactly what's that. I'd rather be higher, not too necessarily high, I'd rather be high. But the other thing to know is that we could bid this with concrete and or asphalt, we could take it as an option. It's a big on project. Sometimes when you have a project that you throw asphalt in, you're not gonna get much of a price deduct because it's too small of a project. This is a big project. There's no reason we couldn't have it as an alternate. But I think the philosophy, and I think just looking at it, what I'm cautious of is just not saying, just don't look at it as total dollars. And I know we've got other issues, but making sure you understand is that there is, it's not an apples to apples. Like you said, there'll be more maintenance, at a certain point. Light maintenance at 10 years, 20 maintenance more, considerable to make this an apples to apples concrete.
And nothing's guaranteed with any paving issues. I mean, you could have premature failures on anything. You're hoping that when you purchase that concrete pavement, you're purchasing something that's a 40-year life on it. You're hoping, but you're not guaranteed that. You're not guaranteed anything in this world.
But, that does give you that ability, 300,000, that gets you back closer to where you were. There's really nothing wrong with an asphalt road. Actually, have a lot of throughout the county, as you do. Fewer concrete roads than asphalt, actually. But it's just knowing that it's not a freebie, just consider that little gray bar I gave you, just, whether it's just knowing that you have that maintenance coming up, you have to accomplish at some point.
There's different maintenance required on both of them. At the end of the day, whether it goes either pavement type, it's not gonna really affect big picture because it's such a small quantity. If I had a lot of concrete roads, I'd actually be more concerned about that, because I don't know if we could actually fund it and keep it going. I think it could actually bankrupt us if we had like a lot of concrete roads for a little longer. Because there is some benefits to flexible pavement from a maintenance standpoint. But from like a truck route, I mean, what we're dealing with right now, there is some, it could go either way. It really could, and it's not gonna affect, I don't think long-term it's gonna make a big impact. I'm not like totally committed one way or the other. Yep, if you design an asphalt, what you got going good for you here on this road is, we've got some negative things going. We had a horrible year for building a road, but the good things that we got going is we're waiting a year to build on top of it. Number two, we're putting in a lot of good base material underneath that road. This gives you flexibility on what you want to do for pavement. If you weren't going to put in as good of a base like we're doing right now, then really you don't have much of a choice with concrete, because a flexible pavement is very much, it needs what's underneath it a lot more than a rigid pavement. they both need it, both will fail without a good base underneath them. One needs less to get to the end result. Flexible pavement can be designed from below, has a lot more to do compared to what's up here, because it's flexible. So.
I like your idea of getting it both ways.
Yeah, there's prudency to it.
Do you lose some bidders because they don't wanna hassle with the options, or what's the why would we be hesitant to do that? With this size of project, I don't think it's gonna hurt you. You know, that's what I'm saying, on small projects, sometimes they think, well, I'm gonna get beat up. Concrete, color-wise, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, are gonna get beat up by asphalt people, and they might just say it's not worth it, because they'll probably take asphalt. I've had a town do that, there's a town in Central Iowa, was big in asphalt, and we pushed concrete, we really had to go fight for contractors to come back in, because they knew this town just always went asphalt, and it was a new council that really wanted to look at concrete, they ended up doing asphalt, so, next time we'll probably never get any bidders there, because they just know it's always been on asphalt, but on this side of the project, you're gonna have your guys come in and say, yes, it's worth it, they'll compete, and, they're not gonna cheer you up, they're gonna come look at it, so, I don't think you're gonna see people not doing it.
Yeah, there's definitely reasons to do it. We don't know exactly how it will be looked at from the outside. And it definitely will take more thought on our part on how we approach it, because it isn't gonna be as clear cut, it's gonna be, there's definitely a lot more thought that has to go into it to try to help ensure the success of bidding. There is more engineering involvement, probably it's gonna be, that may benefit the results. People have done it different ways when they've done alternate bidding, so there's a lot of different creative ways and things that can be thought through on a project like this. It adds more complexity from a designer standpoint, just to clarify. But it is probably the correct approach, because now you're keeping yourself flexible to options.
In my numbers, even at these numbers, I don't think I'd go for you. We always say that, I don't wanna be the contractor, you put it at 1.6, I don't have enough here in my head, I think I'll be all gone if that's the contractor was budget. So these numbers are on my estimates based on, our best estimates from the price we're seeing now. So, we don't know, I mean, you might come in, maybe the concrete will come in at 1.9, but the asphalt comes in at 1.4, or vice versa. And there was one year we had, when we did a bunch of trails for some towns, and the concrete was right during this huge explosion of oil costs, and concrete was within 10%. So, towns would say, yeah, we'd rather do concrete trail, get more lifespan out of it.
Kind of like what Lyon County did. They put some concrete down there. It's nice.
Want any specific action from the board as to this meeting? Came back in to show you if you want to direct me one way, otherwise I guess let's keep pursuing. We still kind of have to wait for Midwest to be done so we can proceed with plans. And update you, bring in some alternate numbers. Those numbers we'll just keep refining as we go along. If you give us direction one way or another, we can obviously stop looking at one, but otherwise we'll just keep those numbers, just keep looking at them as we get closer. Hopefully if those numbers come down, knock up some wood, perhaps will go up. We'll definitely say yes, we'll definitely go one route or the other, or just do both. We want prepared to advise in a certain manner at this point, or?
I'm just disappointed we missed it this bad.
I do.
Who's going to point that at? Us? You? Me?
I wish I could nail it down, whether it was just the prices came in higher, or whether those shoreline left off. I'm not sure, but it was, that somehow catches in my mind that the estimates we gave were good out with the turn lanes, but that could not be good. With the minimum assessment agreement we discussed, it was gonna be tight, short, all along.
We over budget us.
Thank
But there's not much we can do now.
Question on the south end, is that close to being done, or I've had some calls on, are you gonna pay for my drain in town if I can't get into my farm with it?
Yes, I would hope it gets done quick, we're waiting for really back to the district. West side, so.
So,
Yeah.
We're starting as this rain was.
Yeah, the rain was an awful lot, so. All right, we have the pay estimate presented currently that's, I'd like to take action on.
Yeah, it's far along. So we gotta pay it.
Is that a motion to approve the pay estimate for Mr. Schulte? Support for the estimate presented. This is all of that, great communication, the guys are doing what they can. I've had no really, so unrelated, they left for a while, they realized they did get back, and then looked at their crew out there, thinking that it was so bad. I worked with them again, so next day. I think you're getting a good spot out of what you're paying, so.
you got a good contract on it, you do. You're really fortunate there, and it's just that this is the worst year you have to build the road. Right.
Quicker than the run of the lower and still need access.
I know.
Not to jump to the same guy too quick.
Whenever the calls come in, we move forward, it's a dig, and the superintendent. Yep.
It's hard to guess which end you're supposed to come from, or which end who does for that day, or then you always into it before, you're really kind of in the way, or.
How much would we save by not doing the south turn lane? Any ideas?
I can put a number to it, I don't have the area.
I'd like to know that.
Okay, what I'll do is, I'll follow up, correctly, I said mislabeled, but I'll follow up with, a price for the south turn lane. And then if you want me to, I could do a reduction of 24-foot wide on asphalt. It doesn't hurt to run those numbers for you. And then also hopefully we'll have some more definite times, what we can expect from the ministry. Knock on wood, they're working to their meeting today, and hopefully that means he told me they're getting everything ready to come back in, it's just waiting for the proper signatures.
It would be really nice to have that, but it's not close to. One of the turn lanes.
Yeah.
It's all for Josh anyway.
You know, it's a total of 1.2 million.
It's still a
that
full
we paid out.
the length was short enough, but
It's probably gonna have
enough to get
a lot, most likely, next spring attitude is gonna be the number one punch list word, it'll be retained, which is 5% of this. And plus, they still have outstanding items that they want to bring. So, if I was gonna guess, you're gonna probably spend about one.
We have a motion to approve the pay estimate.
Of their
Is there any
contract
support for that?
by the end of this year. I'm just guessing right now, I'd say about 1.1 million. We had spent, and right now, we just spent 118 plus 400 and, how many, 400 plus over that.
Motion by Schulte, support from Larry Helmers to approve the pay estimate submitted and with contracting for $7,456.38. Discussion and comments? All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions?
Follow up with action about that water problem you're having.
I talked to the mayor, the day that it happened.
Did you get over there and look at it?
You know, I told him I was gonna try to, but I knew the flooding was, you know, it was ending, you know, by the time it was over, and I couldn't leave that day. did talk to him, and I told him to take pictures.
Have you talked to him since?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you better visit him and see what,
Okay, because I told him to go take some photos and document it as well.
okay,
You know, we had a discussion about that.
okay.
Is that more water out of the dip?
No, they had a pretty good water problem with the flooding.
Yeah, when they built that highway, yeah.
Don't they want to let more water out of that pit? Is that the issue?
The issue is there's a bunch of water draining to that pit, you know, that, there's a whole bunch of,
I know I used to call it syrup here, and I was just wondering what they found out.
and they do wanna, here's what we talked about, 'cause I met him out there, you know, for a long time, you know, after the last event, and we're looking at working with FEMA too, because maybe there's some help here to make something happen, you know, for some,
Yeah, I just didn't want to
help here too.
get left behind,
Yeah.
You did tell me that they were.
The thing about it is, I don't know how the DOT was able to, yeah, with that.
Yeah, add to the future agenda, or 11:45, concerning review and approve the road use agreement with Ocean Wind Tower LLC to replace one wind turbine.
I think there might be a person from the wind company supposed to be here.
Oh, all right. Hey there.
Hi. Sure,
You want to ask you, May, or?
okay.
I have 45 items to do this agreement.
Good morning, or almost afternoon. Thank you for your time today. I have submitted to your parents' office our agreed upon road use agreement as of last Friday after thorough review from Aaron's office and the county attorney. Our legal review also on our end. And this is the product of that work and discussion. There are some exhibits as well that support the road use agreement in terms of the roads that we have agreed upon to use and the standards to which the county would like to see us, bring our equipment across those roads for the proposed scope of work, and then the agreement that we've come to terms to maintain and repair the roads post-construction after the work. As a surety, we agreed upon a $300,000 performance bond, which is in the process of being fully executed and will be sent directly to your office overnight at some point this week. You should be expecting it. And that is just, surety is just there in the event that post-construction and after the 6 months work, warranty work, essentially, if there are any issues that arise that we can't come to terms on an agreement, then that performance bond is there for the county to draw on. Do you have any questions with regards to the proposed, anything within the road use agreement or proposed?
What's the proposed scope of work?
So, the work that's been permitted by your Board of Adjustment is to repair the wind turbine, turbine number 15 that's in the Oakville Wind Farm. It is currently not functional, and so what we're going to do is replace, basically decommission all the way down to the foundation. So we'll be taking out in segments the tower and the gearbox nacelle, basically the generator inside and the blades. We'll be coming in with all new tower segments and blades and generator so that we can bring it up to more technological, modern day, essentially. So that's the proposed scope of work. We did have to seek a variance through the Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment approved that variance on September 5th. So the next step for us was to work with Aaron's office, to agree upon the roads that, we'd like to utilize to bring this equipment, take it out and bring it in. The turning radius or intersection improvement at, Highway 9 and White Avenue. We worked with Aaron and the Iowa DOT to get that permit approved. And, I actually have fresh exhibits for you for the intersection improvement, off of White Avenue to the private property easement.
Is it the same height as the previous windmill?
The wind turbine? With the blade tips being the blades themselves being a little bit longer, so the tips will be, I think it was 37 feet taller, which is why we had to seek 37 feet taller, that's why we had to seek, the variance to be in, could not be in compliance with the lot line, setback requirement. So after review with the Board of Adjustment, that 37 feet inward, offset requirement, but it doesn't encroach on the adjacent landowner's property. So there's just a setback requirement with the blade tip puts it in further.
Same megawatt loader?
Yes. But anyway, the road use agreement is just the terms that we've come to in agreement with Aaron's office, to use that intersection off of Highway 9 onto White Avenue, and then turning off of White Avenue into the property. So the road use agreement, with your approval and signature, allows us to proceed forward with the planning inventory, that's pre-construction activity where we'll have GE, who is the supplier of the new generator and blades, and Blattner, who is our contractor, conduct an evaluation of the road off of Highway 9, north on White Avenue. They'll do video capture as well as take pictures, and then that will be submitted as evidence of the conditions of roads prior to any construction. We'll share those obviously with the county offices, make sure that we come to agreement that we understand the conditions of those roads, about that segment of road, and post-construction, we produce what's called a post-construction inventory, it's detailed also in the road use agreement. So we'll do the same thing, essentially video capture and take pictures, and if we have any discrepancies in how the roads were maintained during construction or return to as good, if not better condition after construction, then we come to an agreement utilizing an agreed upon third party to determine what additional work is required to bring it to county standard and approval. So that's essentially the road use agreement. It allows us to continue to move forward with the planning inventory prior to construction.
Aaron, are you gonna go out and look at those roads prior to? Because I know after they got done with the initial setup of those windmills up there the first time, those roads were a mess, and they did not make it back into the condition they were in.
Yeah. That's why we have this contract, and yes, I'm gonna be involved with the pre-construction inventory.
Any cost to the county?
Not physically, at my time. And there's not any cost to the county. You know, if you read the contract, no. I mean, there's everything.
I get it, but you want to do.
Yeah, I hear you, yeah. Yeah, there's no physical cost to the county for what they're doing.
I think the agreement does spell out, on
Besides our normal,
under the road authority.
our normal
Exactly.
activities, our normal activities.
2C, the road authorities will perform routine and regular maintenance of the designated roads, including grading, snow removal, striping, routine signage, or regularly scheduled maintenance and repair. We'll definitely be coordinating with Aaron's office. Right now, the construction start date is late in October, I believe October 22nd. that is when they would mobilize to, start repairing, building up segments of White Avenue, correct? That needs to be, brought up to those standards. The intersection between White Avenue and Highway 9, Iowa Highway 9, they may start a little earlier than that, because they can. Primarily because if there was anything that would hold us up with this road use agreement, we wanted to make sure that we were, permitted as far as the Iowa DOT was concerned. Aaron played a huge part in that permit in reviewing, that intersection improvement and making sure what portion of the, that intersection falls under county jurisdiction, that his approval was, during construction and post-construction. So that work should begin, essentially, with landowner approval and county approval and state DOT approval, that one intersection improvement could begin. And then, of course, they'll work on White Avenue as necessary, and then, begin the mobilization to remove the parts that, will no longer be necessary, obviously, and then bring in the new equipment that we just out.
I did not ask, and I'm not sure where we sit on the assessment of turbine 15 currently.
It stops the tax rolls.
This isn't approved, and we're gonna have no valuation there.
There's none on now, it's not even on the rolls. Insurance.
I understand, but if this isn't approved, it's gonna remain that way, whereas this allows us to see that valuation grow. Have the consent to the support of the attorney and the engineer and this county's.
Yeah, the only question, did you have a chance to review the final, whatever I submitted, whatever, because there was a lot of emailing going on at the end there, but we had thoroughly gone through this contract in detail in advance of this meeting. There was a lot of work that we put into this, and, to get to this end agreement, so hopefully, what we're looking at is what we, is left, you know what I mean? You know, nothing got accidentally changed or something, but it's.
It is, as far as I know,
To our knowledge.
That is the one that Warren sent over last week, and I think that we sent a short message approving it. If you weren't CC'd on that, I apologize.
No, I was.
You and Warren sent one saying that I agree with the change.
Then they updated it, put in the exhibits, you know, and then sent it back, and I just didn't know if that got, you know, checked, you know, so, you know, just to make sure there was nothing that changed, but, you know, yeah, based on what we approved, yeah. And then what I just skimmed it really quick. Because this did have to get put together rather quickly because of our board meeting, you know, today, we had to do this kind of right on the bitter end.
If you're satisfied with this one?
I mean, I am satisfied with it as I saw it last week. If there have been no substantive changes to it, then I'm in agreement with it. If the exhibits are as we expected when they were reviewed by us, that's fine with me. I don't expect that Kimberly or Warren or anybody else in their team made any other substantive changes because we were in total agreement when we had the document itself ironed out. I have not seen it since the exhibits have been added, but otherwise, I'm in agreement. We had an extended back and forth about what we wanted to see in the document, and Kimberly's team was very accommodating in making the changes we requested, actually. And so this document reflects a lot of what we being Aaron and I, were concerned about and were interested to see in the final document, and I think we got the changes.
Okay, you just need a motion to accept this.
Do you agree?
Yep.
Mr. Schulte? Support to approve the road use agreement. For offer support, any further questions, comments, discussion?
Are you guys going to file a decommission plan with the engineer's office? With this
It
term?
wasn't requested, but we can certainly put together.
Because that is in our zoning, and since you are replacing that from the ground up, it would be nice to have that decommission plan on file.
There's no problem with that, since it needs to come before your, board for approval as well, or?
It just needs to be submitted from what I can see from the zoning administrator, which I believe is there.
Okay, well, I'll definitely make sure that gets submitted, and I'll see, do I need to see anybody on the commission as well? Okay, no problem.
I can forward along to them for information, they know they have it.
Okay. So unfortunately, my colleague Jeff Bright, who is the actual developer on the project, was not able to make it today. He had a corporate training, and they didn't meet right over here.
So he did send you on there,
Oh, yeah, I mean, we do this all the time together when we have projects, but, so he did want me to extend, his apologies that he could not be here today. The next time, that we come before you, hopefully, we'll get a chance to meet Jeff. He's wonderful. So we'll get you a copy of the decommissioning plan, that's no problem. He did send overnight UPS, original copies of the Xerox copy of what you guys are looking at, signed by our vice president with an original signature. So what I ask is, we've tracked it via UPS's website. It is out for delivery, but it was supposed to be here by 10 a.m. But Carol downstairs said that UPS really doesn't usually deliver till like after lunch. So it's out for delivery. When it gets here, just make sure that it gets routed to you guys. Fine. We have an original signature, fully executed with original signature. And then, if you guys want to keep that copy, that's fine, and then make a copy and send it.
would I want to sign that prior to receiving the assurance that the church bond is in place? That was still in the
Yep, it will be here in the next day or two.
I mean, the agreement, we should cover it based on the
Yeah.
working agreement.
I believe that there is no, there is no signature line for the county.
Right.
But it'll just show up, and it'll be a sealed bond, essentially, and then you'll hold it in your office.
Yeah.
And then the liability insurance certificate will also be sent, I'll probably send that to you electronically.
Maybe what I'll do is, I'll leave them with Nolan, just so he can double check everything right before you sign it, and then, you can try to sign it tomorrow or something.
Yep.
Come back tomorrow or something, sign it.
That's probably best.
We'll probably have it after
Much of
lunch.
an inconvenience, but.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the board actually approve it, then we can execute it when it's all here.
Okay. And I'm okay if you need to put tomorrow's date on it, and you actually sign it, or if it was approved today, then we'll put today's date. Now that you're.
All right, we have a motion from Schulte and support by the board. Is a vote taken on that? Further discussion? All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
All right, thank you very much.
Last item in my estimation is approval of claims. I will cite number 573 is Boston Water Service. I will not do that. 647 is the pay estimate that we approved separately earlier. Did that remain in the claims?
I added it to it.
That action was just an that was approval, so
Yeah.
we could remove claims 647. Since it's free, is the approved.
I'll make a motion on Boston Water.
Support claim 573 by Schulte, support from Jones. Further discussion? All those in favor, signify with aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. I abstain.
If you want to stop down and talk a little more about Tyler Avenue, that's fine. I'll bring your questions. Yep.
So, motion.
Thanks. No problem.
647, remove the acceptable, 663 is approved. So you want to look at it?
Aaron, I just have a question. Don't we have our own backhoe?
We have our own excavator, correct?
Is there a reason we rent a backhoe?
Depending on what it was for. What are we referring to?
Well, that's conservation, okay.
Conservation. Yeah, I don't remember renting a backhoe.
Yeah.
Do you remember renting a roller from, I think, Cape Cod and do some compaction on a road that got destroyed in the flood, but
remember that one.
When you think about leaving St. Paul, it's 15.
Yeah. As soon as we're done here, I'll grab the car and get ready to go.
Okay, perfect. Do you want to work back here, or should I meet you tomorrow?
That works.
I'll meet you there. Okay, all right, sounds good.
With that, yeah, I've got, with our fair connection again this afternoon, so they have a printout, I'll just quickly share this, I shared with you guys a printout of the potential timeline for admitting other counties. It's not a guarantee, we're likely at September already, and those other items have occurred, so going forward is a question mark, but if that's what is desired by the region, that's how it would likely look. That's any interest or help to you guys. Took a motion on the remainder of the claims. 47 was approved for the pay estimate approval earlier, if you want to include that one there.
Make a motion.
Is that with or without 2647? Okay. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
I guess under down to other business or committee reports, this is some of the stuff they handed out at the last ECI meeting. A couple of the highlights are, we have the highest, Osceola County has the highest uninsured percentage for 0 to 17-year-olds. We also have the highest child poverty rate, that's higher than the state average, and the highest, along with Clay, the highest child abuse neglect rate.
Just that.
Some issues with affordable housing, reduced levels of increased road ride and Osceola showing financial assistance needed, and more after school placements. Yeah, basically something for you guys to look at.
Who's DD number 9? How about DD number 8?
I can't remember where all those are at. He jumped over the seat, I mean,
I also had, I don't know if you guys got that email from me, that was forwarded. You guys have any ideas how we can, we got extra money left over to help us out of housing? From 16 yet, how do we get that information to the right people?
what's that all for?
Oh, it's for anybody with the lowest, lower income, I think it's, I don't know, figure this, but it's, you can use it for, you know, windows, gross, septic systems, anything like that, if you're low enough, but they always struggle. I talk to the mayors, I think to the right people, talk to the banks, I don't think the banks are looking at it.
What I did is I talked to Pam Tuber, because she deals a lot with the lower income.
Up in the morning, that information too, because a lot of people go
But
there.
they're only open one day a week.
What is that, they're open?
But Pam is there every day, so that's why
I did tell her about,
I told her about some other stuff that Northwest Iowa Planning has, so you might want to visit with her about that. That's what I was told.
I thought they're open every day.
Yeah, I might be wrong.
Like, 1 day a week.
That's what I had heard.
but anyway,
And I wish they put phone numbers on the door.
I actually missed that meeting, and we had water in the basement and floods in the pastures that day, and I didn't, but that was forwarded to me, got that extra money.
But yeah, because the way I figured, Pam's the one that deals a lot with the people that don't have money.
Yeah. The income limitations, they are.
Yeah.
So if anybody, if think of anybody else that has that.
Maybe the veterans guy down
Yeah.
there.
And that'd be another one.
I keep up to right now. know if anybody had any more ideas on that, so.
Well, the email I saw was the grant for, small businesses or entrepreneurs or something like that.
Yeah, that's,
That wasn't the one I mean. Maybe we didn't get it. I'm still new to replying to all, what all which buttons to push and.
I remember on the website, it says real estate county office is open 8 to 3:30 Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Closed for lunch from 12 to 12:30.
So it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they're open, because it used to be
Monday,
like,
Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday,
no,
Wednesday, Thursday.
usually on Friday.
it's just one day a week. I don't wanna make a comment, it'd be nice if they post phone numbers to call right on the door, so if somebody went.
Well, they're looking at consolidating that office, Brian,